gentlemen, the Freaky Fast Broadcasting on your Wednesday night. Tonight, we give you the coverage of the WSSR Cup Series as the season returns after a fantastic holiday break. Hopefully those in the States enjoyed your Thanksgiving break. We are back for the continuation of Season 10. It's race number 4 this evening as the drivers come back to Atlanta, place that we started the season off, but in an older configuration. It's the 2008 Atlanta, where we coined Hot Atlanta and a track that drivers loved and adored. Now they get to test it in the virtual side. As these drivers here this evening, coming back after an incredible race at Auto Club, we're excited to see how tonight may be changing up for the rest of the season. Tonight, we're happy to give you the coverage and call once again on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. Joining me up in the booth, as always, here on Wednesday nights is Richard Wolfenberg. And Richard, you and Carl Pooler got to call that amazing race at Auto Club. It certainly was a barn burner, and I'm expecting tonight to be very similar.
Yeah, I'm expecting that to be, even if not even a little better. A lot more action here at Atlanta. Don't have to rely on draft as much. It is your typical intermediate style racetrack, at a mile and a half long. It produces some of probably the fastest and most exciting racing in the NASCAR circuit, with also some of the closest finishes we've seen until of recent years. But I'm excited to call this one and ready to see what kind of action we see on track tonight.
Excited for it. So far this season, we have had 3 different winners, 3 different pole sitters, and tonight we're seeing some new names top of the board that are looking quick. Curious if those names will stay up there. Currently, fastest of drivers, our top 2, Jared Talmadge, Samuel Garcia. They found some quick speed early on in practice. We're going to expect to see them try to stay up there, but I think everyone behind them on the times, they're also going to be drivers just for us to watch overall. Shane Terry and Vincent Sora, Joshua Kanata, the next of your top 5 fastest in practice. I think, Richard, this is going to be one of those races where speed looks good right now for the field, but also weather. It's always going to be a factor, especially here in this older configuration of Atlanta, on how that could ebb and flow for these drivers' pace.
Yeah, the track tonight is so far 119 degrees on track. It's very, very hot. It'll destroy these tires. This surface loves to keep the heat and keep it hot over a long period of time. So tire wear is definitely going to be something the drivers are going to have to maintain and have to figure out. It can't just go full throttle, full bore the entire way like race 1. So we'll see who can pick out the strategy, keep their tires safe, and keep their car under control.
Also, due to the fact that we are in race number 4, with 3 races already completed, we have a change up on the drivers that are in to lock in and to go. So if we ever have more than 43 drivers, points will actually matter on this current season. If you're in the top 30 in points, entering a race, you are automatically locked in. Currently, there's only 32 drivers that have registered in, so we are in the ballpark that everyone will race here tonight. Luckily, everyone is excited to be hitting the track here this evening, a track that's not usually ran. I feel like a lot more leagues are starting to go back to the old Atlanta. This track's so old on both the track tires, also due to the fact that this track here at Atlanta reconfigured to now the super speedway style. This older version always going to be giving us the show that we're looking for, but looking at some of the drivers out there on track currently, we're about to be heading into qualifying here in the next minute and 20 seconds. I mean, Richard, we've talked about our top 5, how fast they're looking, but last time we were on the track surface, it was Gavin Rogers that got into victory lane. I'm curious on what speed we're going to see from that machine, because Gavin has been the most consistent driver, points leader entering tonight. I'm curious if he can continue with finishing in the top 3 like he's done for the first 3 races.
Yeah, it'll be exciting to see Gavin continue his dominating run this season in Season 10, trying to chase that championship once again. But, I mean, a lot of the top 5 right now, they could just be running fast laps just to see how fast they can go. And a lot of our fast drivers we normally see, they might just be trying to test out the track. They might not have raced this track as many times as other drivers. So they're probably getting their feel for it, trying to figure out what tire wear is going to be like, trying to do the longer runs, test the tires out. So who knows, qualifying hits, we might see a whole complete shuffle of who we see in the top 10 versus what we're seeing here in practice. So Gavin, very fast driver, usually at every track he goes to. We'll see if he can go back to back from Pocono here to Atlanta.
He's open for Gavin Rogers, the only driver this season that has finished inside of the top 5 for every race so far. The next 2 drivers, they've finished in the top 5 for 2 out of the 3 races. That's Shane Terry and Drew Jua. We both know those are drivers also to watch out on track. They have been very quick this season. Curious on who else might try to go up top and prove they've got speed. We've already seen 3 different winners, like I noted on. Cody Reed, Drew Jua, Gavin Rogers are past 3 winners. Could we see another 4th? Or will we continue on the streak that we've also had of 3 different pole sitters? It's been Larry Yingling, Zach Hall, Chad Wilkes are 3 former pole sitters. And the last driver to get a pole here at this track was Ryan Kelly. He could continue that streak. The 3 didn't show a lot of pace during practice. Curious if show it here for qualifying, as the field will be given 5 minutes to get put down their fastest lap time, and only 2 laps to do so. You hit the wall, get in the grass, Luke, go out of control, will invalidate your lap time. So all the drivers know what the key factors are. But Richard, qualifying, this is going to be a fun one to watch. You're by yourself. You don't have to draft help, but it's all you on your own to maximize your speed.
It is, and a lot of drivers, you got to see how they want to attack this, whether they want to go out and get that first lap down and make that their fastest, or try to get the momentum around the track and make their second lap the fastest lap around the track. So we'll see what drivers take, what strategies, whatnot. Like you were saying, any kind of tap on the wall, that will invalidate your lap, so you want to try to keep off the wall. And also, what's different about this Atlanta versus the super speedway style that we saw at the beginning is there is grass right there, even closer to the track. So they have to worry about possibly hitting that and also invalidating their track or their time. So as we ride around right now with Shane Terry, and looks like he's still riding the outside for lap 1. He's probably going for a lap 2 heat screamer, trying to get the momentum up around the outside of the track to get the fast lap he can on lap 2.
Shane Terry, I feel like we have to note on it every week because it's so spectacular when you think about it compared to the rest of the field. Our one and only true controller driver out on track. One of the very many skills drivers look for. Usually it's get a wheel and pedals, and you try to find your pace with that. Some people, when they started out racing, it was with a controller back in the consoles in NASCAR, and they transferred it over to iRacing. Looks like for Shane Terrian, he's going to be hoping to have some good speed for himself in that machine, trying to get prepared for this fast lap. First lap, stayed on the outside. Second lap, he'll stay high once again, trying to carry all the momentum and speed as possible. Currently, it's Joshua Kanata top of the board for the 16 machine with a 31.6. Shane Terrian making just a little bit slower than that 16, the 9. It's at 31.712, 1/100th of a second behind. As now Brian Noel, 3/100ths behind. It's still Kanata, top of the board.
Kanata still with the fastest time on the track. Oh, and just got topped by Tom Senchek, pulling in with a 31.618. Tom Senchek besting Kanata there as he takes the pole. As we still have other drivers out on the track, as we're riding around with Drew Jua right now, 4/10 off the pole, current lap. Though running his second one, was able to qualify there in the 18th position currently, but looking to have the second lap pass as fast when he's coming around turn 3 and 4. Let's see if he can best and get to the top of the board. See if he can beat Tom Senchek, Joshua Kanata, our front row currently. And still, when he slides coming out of the turn, that will invalidate his lap, getting a spin and through the grass. So Drew Jua not going to have the start he was hoping for here at Atlanta.
Not at all, as that 88 machine down to 25th on the board currently, and it's going to just continue to fall, as it's still going to be Tom Senchak first. Joshua Kanata going to be second. Ryan Kelly, the former pole sitter of this course back in season 7, he'll fall to third for the 3 machine, as he's 5/100ths of a second off of Tom Senchak. As the 7 machine of Douglas Newbigging starting the second lap. That first lap not going to be validated, took a little bit too long. This second lap is where he's hoping for the money time, as the 7 only will have 1 lap to get 100% on. That first one wasn't validated. He's going to run the middle groove through 1 and 2, down to the white line through 3 and 4. And this has been the interesting thing of seeing the variety of different positions drivers were running. Some were running high, some were running low. And for the 7 of Douglas Newbigging, he wants to be up front, and he wants to be top of the board and across the line. Nowhere even close. It is 16th place for Douglas Newbigging with a 31.758. That's 1/10 off as we move over to the driver that grabbed the most poles last season. It's Gavin Rogers in the 75, our last race winner as well.
Gavin Rogers was our last race winner, and I have to stand corrected. It was Auto Club, not Pocono. That was a mistake by my part, but coming off an Auto Club win, Gavin Rogers here coming down with hopefully the fast lap here. Not a very good first lap, trying to get the second as the fast. As he comes across the line here with a 31.7, not fast enough for the pole. He will qualify 14th currently, so not a good lap by Gavin Rogers either, but hopefully he can recover from starting about midfield. And also, while we were watching Douglas Newbiggie, his teammate James Scioli was able to take the pole position from Sinchek with a 31.596. So phenomenal run from James Scioli there.
Scioli with an incredible pace, and that will be our fourth different pole sitter. And for Scioli, he will now, with that great qualifying run, should push himself with the best starting average of all drivers that have made it to all 4 races. Incredible pace to be seen by that team. As for us and for the drivers, we move up over to our warm-ups stage of the race, as these drivers will have 5 minutes to get last minutes of practice, as well as figure out where their pit stalls are, and it as well lets us take a closer look of how the season has gone to this point. 3 races in, entering this evening, and our point standings look crystal clear. It's been Gavin Rogers, the only driver to finish inside of our top 5 for every race so far. Top of the board with his win last race at Auto Club. It makes sense that he's at that top spot. Shane Terry, Douglas Newbiggie, Danny Cochran are final of our top 4. If you look at the cutoff line, though, it's James Scioli down in 15th in points. Chris Stitz 16th in 17. You got Chad Wilkson. Looking at the board, I'm not seeing the 6 machine out there on track, so this could give an opening for who could be that next driver trying to step up and go after Chris Stitz.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see who can step up. Sad to see him not here tonight, but you got a lot of good names still down there, not within that top 16. A few we aren't seeing up there. One specifically, Vincent Sora, who has not had a strong start to the season at all. He's been really fast, but he's been involved in wrecks in all 3 races, not being able to finish the race on the lead lap, and that is hurting his chance at running up here in this championship run.
Yeah, the 2-time champ for Vincent Sora, all the way down 42nd in points, and is looking for a finish that is better than 30th, if possible. Here tonight, it could start out on a track that he's seen success in other leagues. As we move over from our point standings, we head over to take a look at how the schedule's been looking like so far. Like I said, we are now entering our 4th race of the season. We finished up at the current Atlanta Motor Speedway, where we got to see Cody Reed take victory for the 25. Then we headed to Pocono, where Drew Jua marched from the back to the front and found himself in a victory lane. Gavin Rogers taking the win at Auto Club with all the dashing of 4 and 5 wide. But tonight, we're back to Atlanta, the 2008 configuration, before we head to Nashville Super Speedway, that new track here for WSSR, heading to the Red Bull Ring. Then Kansas and Phoenix, going to be the next couple of tracks in our vision before we go into a longer break for the holidays, and we're back at it in 2025.
Yeah, 2025 is going to bring a lot of fun, exciting racing as well, with Red Bull Ring to kind of end off the 2024 season, I guess you can say, the year of 2024. And I think that'll be a really fun race to watch. Red Bull Ring, not really raced by the NASCAR Cup Series right now, but this league decided to head over to Austria, check that track out. And I've raced a few laps there. It is a fantastic track to race. It'll be fun to watch for sure. But yeah, we're ready for these last couple of races before we take a nice long 2-week break for the holidays.
It's going to be a nice break, man, for us. We're going to take another closer look of who are drivers we feel like to watch out for. Who do we also think are drivers maybe to go into victory lane, as we have our pick'ems here to check out. Well, I'm going to start off with my pick. I'm going to go with the driver that won here the last time. He grabbed the pole as well. Thought he was going to grab the pole here this evening. Not the case, but the 3 machine looks quick this season. Ryan Kelly going to be my driver to watch out for here tonight. Richard, who do you have as a driver to watch out for this evening?
You know, he's had, like I said, a strong start to the season. He's been fast. He just always caught up in other wrecks. It's just Vincent Sora. I feel like this is the track that he can get it done at. The cars are going to be able to spread out a lot more. We've had 3 tracks where it's been basically pack racing. So he might have some space, might have some time to get away from other drivers and other cars and stay away from any of the incidents that are happening.
Big thing for that 51 machine, stay away if possible. As our other member of our group going to be Robert Moyer Jr., who runs productions in the background for us here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. He will be picking last season's champion Zach Hall in the 1 machine. I think that's a great pick, a driver we really didn't touch on as we were preparing for this race. I'm curious on what speed we will see from Zach, as he's going to be starting in the middle of the field. 1 machine, a little bit of work for himself to do for as he qualifies 6th here this evening. As warm-up is slowly starting to close, once again, thank you so much to everyone that's joining with us on your Wednesday night to be seeing the coverage of the WSSR Cup Series. It's Season 10, round number 4, as we head to this 2008 configuration of Atlanta. We're expecting a lot of great racing. It's going to be 150 laps. We have our stage break the end of lap 35. No fast repairs. Drivers will have 4 extra sets of tires in pit road to work with this evening. They will have plenty of fuel to make it to the stage, but after the stage, on the calculators, have to pull out, see where they want to make their pit stops. But for us here tonight, it's time for the show to start. As the drivers start to grid up, let's take a look at where they will be starting here this evening for race number 4 at Atlanta. Taking the pole, 4th different pole sitter of the season. It's the 77 of James Scioli. He'll be hoping for a good run in that Lucky Ducks machine. To his outside, another driver that's looking for a good run to change his luck. It's the 26 of Tom Senchek. Then down in 3rd, we find the 16 of Joshua Kanata, who's been slowly finding a lot more consistent speed up front. You're loving to see that for the 16. Ryan Kelly, last driver to win here at this configuration track, will be starting back in 4th. 5th, we find the 00 of Brian Noel, another Lucky Duck driver looking quick. We have Robert Moyer Jr.'s pick in the 1 machine as Zach Hall starting in 6th position. Nick Crawford starting in 7th. Danny Cochran in the 2 will be starting 8th. He's had a very shockingly good start to the season, as he will be in that 8th position. 9th is where we find the pick for Richard. It's Vincent Sora in the 51, hoping to change his luck because he needs it to change now, or the playoffs are going to be a little bit tougher to make. They'll be again starting in 9th position. 10th, we find the 9 of Shane Tarian as we move over to the rest of the field.
As we continue for the the next 10 here, we got starting 11th will be Chris Stitz in the 17, with Ryan Ferrero on his outside in the number 10, starting 12th position. John Forbes Jr. in the 11, starting in 13th, and Gavin Rogers starting in 14th in the number 75. A decently far back start for Gavin, unheard of usually, but it's fine. Think we can do it. Ken Campbell starting in 15th in the number 15, with Ollie Fonseca on his outside in the number 24, with Douglas Newbigging in the 17th, and GT Irizarry starting 18th in the number 14. In 19th position, we will be seeing Larry Yingling in the number 67, and on the outside, rounding out the top 20, will be Jared Kelly in the 55.
Down in 21st spot, we find the 50 machine of Samuel Garcia. They show that he's got pace during practice. We'll see how well he can march through the field here this evening. Starting in 22nd place is the 13, Cedric Hunter. 23rd place, we find the 21 of Ross Tatum. Justin Malarkey will be back in that 24th position. 73, Jared Talmadge, top of the board for practice. He'll be only down in 25th, similar to Garcia. We'll see how he can march through the field, as Bill Hull going to be in that 26th position for the 48. Christopher Wade in the 53 will be back in 27th, with Andrew Medlin, the teammates from Storm Motorsports, going to be 27th and 28th. Drew Jua thought he was going to have the maximum speed to go for the pole time. Instead, we'll start back in 29th for the 88 machine. And also in an 8 back in 30th is Ryan McCann. And finishing out our last couple of drivers will be Trevor Earhart in the 4 and 31st, Ben Caney in 32nd, 33rd. Supposed to be a driver. Well, I've lost it on my calendar of who was supposed to be there, but it's going to be also seeing Brandon Colley, Christopher Norris, and we'll forget that 30th position driver, but he's up in the booth with us. It's Richard Wolsifer as we get ourselves prepared for this launch. It should be a good one. We're excited for the great racing here tonight that we will be seeing for round number 4. It's James Scioli, Tom Senchek, going to be your top 2 for this go. as this race, again, stage at the end of lap 35. How aggressive do you want to be? It's time to find out and see, as we are green for Scioli as well as for Sinjek, as both lanes get a pretty good launch for themselves. We're able to keep it clean for now, but into turn number 1, where do you want to place yourself? High, low was used during qualifying, and right now it's down below Scioli. That's looking quick off the exit of 2.
Scioli doing a great job getting right there up front, able to pull up into the outside line. A clear lead for him, and it's great to see as they're 3 wide right behind him and Ryan 3 wide further back in the field as he still leads, coming around as he leads lap 1 here at Atlanta.
Lap 1 going to be going to James Scioli. That 3 wide action. Brian Noel also going to be charged with Kanata and Ryan Kelly. Kelly shoots through the middle. He's able to continue moving forward as Tom Sinchak tries to set him for a pass, but driver that's falling backwards, it's Joshua Kanata, as one driver gets close to the outside wall further on back. Looks to be Zach Hall, as well as a cluster of drivers stuck 3x3, 2 rows deep. You don't expect this at Atlanta 08, but these drivers are making it work. They're squeezing through the middle and able to squeeze on by. It's going to be the 2 of Danny Cochran, but falling backwards and stuck where he doesn't want to be. It's that 51 of Vincent Soar and Richard. This is the nightmare that Vincent Soar did not want to see.
Yeah, this is not what you want to see as Vincent Soar with the start he's had this season. He wants to get through this field. He wants it to get spread out so he can, get into a rhythm, get up there and get some speed for himself. But getting stuck behind all these drivers, getting stuck in the 3 wide situations that he was able to keep it clean, able to get to the bottom of the track. They're going to be 2 wide right now. Let's see if he can make his way through the field. It's sad to see him back there, but he can. I have faith he'll be able to get back up into the front where he usually is running.
Absolutely. I think that's really going to be a big thing. When do you make that surge forward? Also, looking at the pace that drivers are putting down, we saw a lot of drivers back off on their pace. It looks like tire saving already in the mind of a lot of drivers already on lap number 4. Drivers up front, Scioli, Sinchak, Kelly, Noel, they're thinking it's go time as they're trying to pull away and are running almost a half a second faster than the group we're seeing on screen in the middle of the pack.
Yeah, even the pace with the lead, they're running, almost a half a second slower than their qualification lap. So everybody is worried about these tires and how long they'll last. So they're trying to take the pace easy, try to take the racing easy, save the tires, see what they can in this stage 1. I mean, you still got a lot of stage points up there for grab for the top 10, so still got a race for those. It's just the testing for the long run to see how long these tires can last and whether or not they can control them. So seeing a little bit slower pace than what we were seeing in practice and qualifying, but to be expected, especially when tires are going to be a major concern at this track for these drivers.
It certainly will be a concern, as there's already kind of a pack trying to move forward as one in the middle of this pack. Back in 21st and 22nd position, no surprise, it's Drew Jua and Brian McCann, 2 drivers that did not qualify well, trying to move forward. Some of our biggest movers right now, up 8 positions in the first 6 laps. Everyone else up maybe 1, 2 spots. They've lost maybe 1 or 2 spots. Not a lot of movement happening, but in front of this 88 and 8, this is where the action is for that 15th place. It's Ryan Ferraro, seen in his mirrors, Jared Kelly, as well as Douglas Newbiggie. Also see Ross Tatum, GT Rosari. Some of the first drivers being side by side in the middle of the pack.
Yeah, side by side still in the back of the pack. There are a lot of good racing happening, but they're all keeping it clean and straight. That's what we like to see. That's what a lot of the drivers like to see. They want to be able to race. They don't want to sit there and drive around at slow pace behind everybody for a long time. So it's great to see. Great to see some still side by side racing happening as well this early still. And nobody's wanting to be slow. Nobody wants to sit there and hang out in the back, it looks like. So people trying to make their ways up as we're right along right now with Douglas Newbiggie doing a great job getting behind by the cars coming out of turn 2 there.
Yeah, for this 7 machine, up 1 spot forward, qualified in that 17th position. But again, moving forward as a duo, it's been the 88 and the 8. That's Drew Jua as well as Brian McCann. They've done a great job. They just are picking and choosing when they feel like it's the right time to go for a pass, and they're usually doing it together. As once the 88 makes an opening, the 8 follows in suit. Right now, it's Samuel Garcia kind of putting a blockage between them as GT Rosari, Ryan Ferraro stays side by side for 19th and also for 18th position. And for GT Rosari, looking at the numbers, this 14 machine needing a good finish. Currently down on the inside, trying to figure out how to get by the 10. But at this moment, one of the drivers that's been struggling to find consistency this season, as he has yet to find himself in the top 10 here tonight.
Yeah, he's definitely hoping for something to change for himself the rest of the season. He's trying to find that pace and the speed to run up with these guys that are running up in the top 10. But he's doing a good job here, staying right behind the number 10 of Ferrero, trying to make find the right time to make the pass without trying to destroy his tires too much. So, but he's doing a good job right now, sitting back here in the 19th position. He's only down one spot at the moment, but he's still got a long race for him to make up some positions. But we'll see how he does. Hopefully he can pick up some spots for the rest of the race and have a strong finish and at least get a top 10 for the season.
Well, as we got to move back up front because we're getting more of that traditional old-style racing as we're on the old course. Lap 10, and now we're seeing the change. Those that protected those tires are starting to move forward. Those that were more aggressive starting to have to defend a little bit more aggressively as Tom Senchek trying to hold back the 3 of Ryan Kelly, but here comes the run by the 9 machinist Shane Tarian, who's already up 6 positions, qualified 10th. The 9 already has cracked into our top 3 and has done a great job rolling the outside and letting these front runners kind of build this gap. And the 9 has slowly ran him down, as well as Brian Noel, on making these moves go forward as Kelly falters backwards.
I will say it is really impressive watching Shane Tarian race on a controller and being able to run up here along the side of Ryan Kelly, Tom Senchek, and all them. So he's doing a great job, able to save up little tires, it looks like, as he's able to pick up the pace and running up with Brian Noel, and they're chasing down Senchek and Scioli for the lead.
Yeah, they're right down. They're catching up to them. Another pot of drivers to watch out for. This 11 machine of John Forbes Jr., the 1 of Zach Hall, the 74 Nick Crawford. Those 3 drivers also are kind of surging forward, starting to close up. The last couple of laps been running just as fast as our leaders, if not faster, and are starting to get a little bit more on that antsy side of let's not allow these leaders to pull away too far. Utilize our tires to their full potential later in this run. Again, closing in on halfway into this stage here in the next 8 laps. It's lap 35, end of lap 35 will be our stage break. Drivers know top 10 positions get bonus points where you want to be lining up if you're some of these drivers who have been struggling this season.
Yeah, and you know, if you're struggling this season, bonus points can definitely help out. So it might be a good idea to push as hard as you can to get up to the stage break, get those extra bonus points. So that might, especially with Vincent Sora, you know, he is striving to try to get those bonus points with this rough season he's started with. But everyone's just kind of lining up right now, just kind of finding their rhythm, filling in the spots they can, and just waiting for the right times to move. So kind of a calm before the storm, it seems, as we still have 20 laps or so until the end of the stage.
It's battling for the leads, starting to find a little bit of a window to open up, but back here for the drivers that are battling for that 10th place position, Danny Cochran, Vincent Sora, trying to figure out who wants to be placed where as the teammates stay in line. Behind them, the yellow machine. That's to be seen. The 21 around stage, currently our biggest mover so far, up 21 spots. They're only back in 23rd. We found every opening to march forward. You got to give kudos to that 21 machine, already up 11 positions.
Yeah, that's impressive work. 11 positions to start this race off in 16 laps. He's doing a great job, but how much of his tires has he used to be able to do that? We'll have to see as these runs, as the run goes a little bit longer. But Danny Cochran and Vincent Sora here putting on a good show. Vincent Sora just kind of riding around, being safe with Danny at the moment. Kind of have to catch up for the rest of the group and maybe start making moves then. But Vincent doing exactly what he needs, just kind of being calm and smooth, just right along right now, staying out of the trouble that he's been involved in all season.
And also in the mixture here, as you see Ross Tatum going high, that's Storm Motorsports drivers of Ken Campbell and Chris Stitz. That's our last race winner, Gavin Rogers. He's still Myers where he qualified, 14th position where he qualified, currently runs 15th. And we're right on board and get what a sense is like being in the middle of the pack for this 75. I'm curious if he's waiting for the time to strike, or is there a bigger plan in mind? Because he's starting to get caught up by some of the drivers that have been really pushing behind and are trying to close in this gap. Richard, I mean, right on board with this 75. He looks stable, clean. There's not a lot of fidgeting that we're seeing for some of the other drivers further on back.
Yeah, Gavin's doing a fantastic job keeping that car nice and stable and steady, keeping that steering wheel as straight as he possibly can. Right now, I think he's just trying to save as much tire as he possibly can and make a last-minute surge when he gets closer to the end of the stage. So he's doing a good job, just kind of being smooth, keeping those tires happy, as yes you could say, not making them mad at him right now. So just going to kind of ride along. He was making some moves earlier, but he's just going to kind of let people by, not really challenge him very hard. As Larry Yingling looks like he's going to make a move to the outside of him as well, possibly. No, they're just going to follow in line. But yeah, Gavin just taking it smooth, biding his time, waiting for the time to strike when it gets closer to go time.
Oh, and you saw one driver duck down low. That was going to be 88, Drew Jua, who actually got a bad bump from his teammate, Douglas Newbegin, going through the quad oval. Hit the front stretch, trying to help one another, but we got to point our picture forward because there's a driver going backwards. The two, Danny Cochran, thought that maybe he was going to tag along with Vincent Sora and try to run down the front pack. Instead, he's kind of being the safety valve that's holding some drivers back. Once you get by the two, you can go forward, but Danny Cochran is looking to be struggling at this moment to find some good speed. Currently runs the outside lane to defend over Chris Stitz, but starting to see drivers trying to get antsy to get by this two machine and look towards teammates. Stay side by side as Stitz and Campbell where to go to get by the two, and as they continue to stay a little bit log jammed here, it's giving space for the 88 of Drew Jua. Now he's up to 16th position.
Yeah, Drew Jua is making a great charge up through the field right now as he is up 13 positions, our biggest mover of the race so far. You know, he's doing another back to front run here at Atlanta. We've seen him do multiple times this season already. So he's doing a good job. Up 13. I'll definitely take up 14 now as he's running that outside. You know, everyone's just trying to get around Danny Cochran, like you were saying. He's just kind of being that cork that's holding everyone back as he slots in right behind the number 21 of Ross Tatum there, and still just everyone doing what they can to get around Danny. Danny is definitely struggling on these tires. He was running the same speed and keeping up with Vincent Sora, but there was something that Vincent was doing that Danny hadn't figured out, I guess, and not able to keep those tires in the lead.
Some of the leaders, I think, might have figured out it's run the outside lane for a quick moment. You might have seen that change at the top of the ticker board of Ryan Kelly showing a nose ahead of James Scioli. But this front pack, at one moment, the top four had pulled away over the rest of the field by over a second and a half. Now, our top nine within 1 second of one another. And it's starting to show that James Scioli knows what defensive lane to be in. But those tires, it is go time for everyone if you want to strike. Because with coming up to now about to be 11 laps to go in the stage and cross the line again. I mean, Richard, they are searching for where they can hold good pace as well as traction at this moment. Their top two work well together moving forward, but the battle for third is starting to show signs of Thompson, Chek-Ching-Tarian side by side.
Yeah, as they come across the line, there'll be about 10 laps to go in the stage. This is the time to strike. This is the time to move. And right now, it's trying to find out where you can keep that momentum and to be able to make the moves around the other drivers. So you can easily make a move, but whether or not you're going to hold that momentum to keep it down the straightaway or make that pass, that's where the problem comes in. So everyone kind of all over the track at the moment trying to search for the speed and search for the clean air, make those moves to get up and get as many points as they possibly can. A lot of the drivers up on the top lane there, it seems like that's where a lot of the speed might be, but they're side by side. Back in fifth place back is it looks like we have Brian Noel on the inside there.
Trying to have one of his better starts to a race is the 00 as they're going to be almost 3 wide. Noel in the middle, going to be John Forbes Jr. on the inside groove. The 11 willing to put the pressure on. And if you watch on Monday nights in the ISRC Truck Series, John Forbes running down low, willing to make some aggressive moves. He is willing to do it once again. This go around, he's going to be 18 of Joshua Kanata, almost to the outside quarter panel of Noel as they make a almost small contact between the 16 and 00 off the exit turn 4. And Noel, I think, holding his breath and feeling lucky that he's still racing at this moment in time. As Shane Tarian trying to find an opening for himself to stay in front of this group, but it is looking dangerous and hectic as Noel once again a big wiggle for himself as caution, and it's Vincent Sora going around. Oh, the 51 can't stay away from trouble, and his season of woes continue on.
Yeah, that was unfortunate to see. It looked like Joshua Kanata just got a little loose coming out of the turn and clipped the nose of Vincent Sora. Unfortunate for Vincent. This, unfortunate, unlucky season has just continued with him. And it's just, oh, sad to see. Not what he wanted to see this early in the race. As we right on board right now, watching from above, they're 2 by 2 in front of him coming on the front stretch there. And he's kind of sitting back, hoping to just find a spot that he can move forward and get through it all. But it was coming out of turn 2 where the incident happened onto the back stretch. As you see Joshua Kanata there on the outside trying to make a move to the inside, gets a little loose and just barely taps the nose of Vincent Soares, sitting him down to the inside wall. Hopefully, I mean, it was kind of a hard hit. Hopefully it wasn't too terribly bad and get that damage repaired and get back out on track.
You can see the crinkle on both sides of those quarter panels. It is not damage that you want to pick up, but it has been something I've talked with with that of Zach Hall on the fact of these next gen cars. If you don't get required damage, you can fix a lot of this damage up and still run almost as fast as this thing was brand new. So I think for Vincent Soar, because it wasn't required damage, still should be in this fight. Well, this puts the rest of the field in an awkward scenario because of the fact that we are not done with stage 1. Some drivers deciding to pit, others deciding to stay out. It was almost a dead equal in the middle split on half the field pitting and half the field staying out.
Yeah, I think at this point of this, the stage and when it's going to end at this caution coming out, if you're top 10, I mean, position is everything. It's almost you don't want to pick but it looked like a lot of them did. So it was definitely a split decision because, they might, when the stage does happen, the stage caution happens, people that didn't pit will have to pit. And those that did pit, they might opt to stay out and flip the strategy a little bit. Granted, there's no other stage breaks, but that might benefit them when it comes to fuel saving or when they're going to pit under green flag. So, yeah, we're gonna see a lot of people charging through the field. I think on these fresh tires, they might just be trying to burn a set of tires and try to go for that stage win.
Interesting note for the 2 of Danny Cochran. He actually pitted. I think he expected more drivers to make the decision go into pit road. The 2 just topping off with fuel only. He had to drive back into pit road. Looks like he'll be getting service done for tire. Another driver going with an oddball strategy, pits a lap later, is the 21 of Ross Tatum. So both those drivers will go to the end of the line with this different call than I think that they originally wanted to make, as drivers that decided not to go into pit road. Everyone inside of our top 17 leader now going to be Tom Sinchek, Shane Terrian, John Forbes, James Gaioli, Ryan Kelly, both that were leading at the time, will head into pit road, but they're going to be in the thick of things, back in 18th and 19th position on this restart. And they're in that odd spot where if there is a caution that comes up before lap 35, that will count as the stage. So this puts all the pressure on those drivers that got tires. Are you pushing for those stage points with this fresh rubber, or are you backing off and saving your tires for that track position once the stage is done?
Yeah, I think at this point, if you came in for tires, I would push. I would try to go for that stage win. You might be 17 cars back, but the time difference between the old tires and new tires is going to be huge. So you could probably at least get to the top 10. So we'll see what they decide on doing. It could be just smart, just save that tire and skip pitting and flip the track position at the stage caution. We'll see what everyone tries to do as they're all lining up 2 by 2. The lights are out on the pace car. We're going to go green next time around.
Update on those drivers that had extended time on pit road. Looks like Jarrett Talmadge, a little bit extra time, stayed for an extra 15 seconds for himself. Other drivers that stayed in, of course, Vincent Sora caught up with damage. He is still on the lead lap, only in pit road for an extra 40-second damage repair. Bill Hull also came in late to get more service done for himself. And Andrew Medlin, before the time of the caution, he actually had just come into pit road. I was checking up to see what happened to him, but it looks like he's having extended time in pit road. No required damage flag given to him. See if the 12 decides to get back out on track, as he is still 4 laps down in pit road currently. But once again, top 17 drivers, going to be on old tires. Yet to pit, everyone from 18th on back watch out on this surge. We are going to see a dramatic change on pace. This closing rate, the big moves, they're going to be massive, but can we stay out of trouble? That's the big question of note. Pace car makes the hard left-hander into pit road. We are green for the 2008 configuration of Atlanta, and already trouble going to be happening up front. Little bit of a logjam on the inside row, forcing drivers to go 2 wide, as it's going to be now drivers stuck 3 wide for 4th and 5th position. Up front, oh, it's Zach Hall. Huge run for the one machine, as he will get by Tom Sinchek as well as Gavin Rogers, and a great run for themselves, but they're 3, almost 4 wide back for that 14th, 15th position.
It is a bee's hive there in the back of the field, 3 and 4 wide, but Gavin Rogers up here challenging for the lead from Zach Hall. We have got a race on our hands as it looks like one car is down into the grass, able to keep it straight back up onto the field safely, keeping it straight, no cars wrecked, and everyone's still racing side by side, getting every position they possibly can here to turn 1 and 2.
That was Ali Fonseca that had his time in the grass. As now Douglas Newbigin, big slide, and Douglas Newbigin wiggling back and forth. He goes down into the apron. We'll stay green for now, but he almost came creaming up into the field. Everyone reacts in a manner to stay out of the way. The 7 gets rolling. Up front, it's still Zach Hall, Gavin Rogers side by side coming to the line. We will have ourselves 2 laps to go on the stage. Pit road is closed. It's time to see who's going to be in the top 10, get those stage bonus points. Right now it's Hall, but for how long? James Scioli is up to 6th position, and he is rocking it his way forward on the inside. They're now going to be 3 wide for the lead. John Forbes going to be cycling through the middle. Scioli trying to figure out if he's going to go through the middle. He will, pushing the 11. The 77 has made the march. He's squeezing and trying to find space, and James Scioli, coming to the white flag of the stage, is going to be taking the inside row, but Ryan Kelly gets spun. It's going to be Zach Hall with the stage win as their melee on the front stretch.
Huge wreck on the front stretch coming to the white flag, but James Scioli showing that new tires were definitely the call to go, charged up through the field and was able to finish, I believe, 3rd for the stage as Zach Hall takes home the stage win.
Just bumping everywhere as Ryan Kelly could be the driver spun around. And this wreck is so much worse, but the surge of drivers on fresh tires and old, I mean, it's almost every other driver had fresh tires to this point, and the 3 was doing his best with fresh rubber to sneak his way through, following the likes of Drew Jua as well as Scioli, but just hit a wall of drivers that were on old tires. It just didn't work out here. I mean, Richard, this is when it squeezes to a very narrow factor, and you got drivers 2 wide, 3 wide. As Stitz gets in to that 9, he then clips the 3, and away goes Kelly as Chris Stitz also creams into the wall, as well as the 9. And this is where I'm shocked. Everyone else able to avoid getting extra damage.
Yeah, fantastic work by everybody else, and a very strange wreck there. Looks like just cars coming together there on the front stretch. There were 4 wide when that accident happened. Shane Terrian got a little loose and was up in the wall, and everyone just kind of pinching together trying to dodge that, and just kind of gets the spin across. Only a couple cars involved, actually, but unfortunate to see Ryan Kelly get involved with that situation.
See here, Chris Stitz narrowly gets right on the quarter panel, and then what we like to call net code, visible hitbox, goes down, clips the 3, and that's what sends up into the outside wall. It's been an issue that has been around iRacing forever. It's just due to the fact of internet racing that it's going to be a factor that shows up, but looks like to be 6 inches of net code that spins that 3 around and bringing out this caution.
Yeah, netcode is definitely something that is kind of plagued iRacing for a while, but like you said, it's kind of expected for internet racing. That's just how it is with the internet lag and different people's connection types. So, but unfortunate situation for that right there, though. I mean, it was just tight racing overall with Shane Terrian up against the wall, and then already 3 wide, just everyone trying to stick it into the hole and get through. So, but that's the end of the stage. Zach Hall will leave with the stage win. So good work with him, and a great charge for James Scioli as he gets up to 3rd.
An absolute incredible run for himself. Not sure exactly. We're going to give a report on James Scioli here shortly, but first, we're going to see if we can talk to our stage winner of Zach Hall, who is going to be coming out in 10th position for this restart. We'll see how Hall is feeling after saving his way up front and taking the stage. Number 1 machine, Zach Hall. It's Sam and Richard up the booth. You got us?
Yeah, I got you guys.
Well, stage winner, was that on your list of things to do here tonight? Because you qualified 6th, you looked quick, but were you expecting the stage there at the end?
No, like we were just riding along there, and I kind of felt like I burnt my stuff up on the green run we had there, and was like trying to get it back, and I felt like it was slowly coming back to me. So I felt like I was starting to make a little headway towards the front from giving up a few spots. But man, I knew when we had the restart there, I was gonna have a good shot with all the wheel spin, and I felt like I put the power down pretty well, got that lead early, and from there I was making a bunch of mistakes, but luckily I was able to hold on to the outside line, and the caution I knew was going to come out at some point with how stacked up it was. So luckily the timing worked out, and we'll bag another playoff point. So that's huge.
Yeah, a little luck there, Zach Hall, as the caution came out, kind of saving your stage over James Scioli on fresh tires. What was the decision? Did you decide on not going on fresh tires because you wanted to get track position over the freshies?
Yeah, like a lot of people would stay out there just because they didn't want to waste the set real quick and be at a disadvantage here, because I actually think it's going to matter a little bit, especially if you push really hard on those tires right there. It's not a lot of laps, but these things are wicked loose, so I kind of felt like I wanted the tires after the stage, and felt like the best opportunity to get the most stage points was to stay out. And it was a risk, but it definitely paid off.
Well, Zach, congratulations on the stage win here tonight. Enjoy it, and hopefully we talk to you tonight as we send you back to your team.
Thanks, guys.
That will be the number 1 machine of Zach Hall. And report on James Scioli, again, was looking to be the threat to take the stage at the time of the yellow flag coming out. Wasn't able to do so, and pulled off the track at the time of the yellow, and has manually disconnected from the server. We don't know exactly on the report on the exact reason of why, but Richard, I mean, that takes away a huge factor as we're about to get back to green flag racing.
Yeah, that's kind of a shocking thing to see. I hope everything's okay. I mean, our pole sitter making a huge charge up there at for the stage end there, and disconnected from the race. So hopefully we get a report and get some information on why he disconnected. But unfortunate to see. We hate seeing drivers leave, but possible emergency. But we'll hopefully he comes back, and hopefully everything's okay on his end.
That's what we want to see, is drivers being all right. And James Scioli, we hope to see him back out on track next week at Nashville Super Speedway. But up front, older tires now, and oh, no trouble. It's Tom Simchek. Hard contact in the outside wall. We stay green. But that 26 machines, great start to tonight, goes up in smoke immediately for the 26. As up front, it's now going to be Drew Jua, Brian Noel, Nick Crawford, going to be the top 3 with the Hello Kitty machine and Cedric Connor in 4th. Old tires going to be up front. First driver moving with freshies going to be the 11 of John Forbes, but disaster striking for the 26 is now Brian Noel leads off the exit of 4.
Yeah, going back and watching that on my end, it definitely looks like he just had some tire spin coming up to the green flag dropping, and just hard right turn into the wall. Everyone did a good job dodging him, so just him involved. Unfortunate to see our outside pole sitter, P3, I do believe actually, but hopefully it's nothing too bad. He can get that repaired and get back out on track as we ride along now with. Looks like we're watching Larry Yingling and Cedric Hunter now then, but racing side by side.
This for 4th place position of Cedric Hunter and that pink Hello Kitty machine behind him. He's going to be having the 8 on the outside of Brian McCann. Huge surge for the 8 off of turn 4, as well as Larry Yingling, the 50 of Sam Garcia. Garcia, again, talked about how the fact that he looked quick during practice, was hoping to carry that speed and momentum here to race time, and didn't qualify well, but the 50 machine trying its best to go forward as racing around the 67 of Larry Yingling and the 11 of John Forbes. Forbes looking very strong right now, has the freshest of tires of anyone on track currently, and very quickly dispatched a lot of drivers. He's now up to 8th position and has to be patient, watching the 67 and others and looking for a clean opening to try to press on and get by these drivers. But at the same point, Richard, I mean, you want to be aggressive if you're the 11 because you know you have fresher tires, but you don't want to overcook the tires just in case we have a long run, because there are no more stages.
Yeah, I mean, a great way to look at your tires is a consumable item. Is like, the more you use them, the more you don't have for a later run. So he might be on the freshest tires, but that also gives him the chance to save like everyone else and have more tire near the end of the run to be able to make the move. So it's definitely a decision you got to make as a driver on how you want to go with the strategy. But right now, he's just kind of chilling behind Larry Yingling. Might be doing somewhat of a saving strategy here to be able to have that later run, but he's going to dive low to take it 3 wide on the inside there with Larry on the inside. They're going to tighten up here, but they're keeping it off each other and keeping it clean. We got 3 wide racing still here in Atlanta.
It's going to be Samuel Garcia trying to keep it off the wall if possible. Yingling will now fall in line behind the 11 and watching behind him as well. Again, taking track position after taking tires before the stage was over. Driver that is the furthest down of those drivers. Ben Kinney in the 98 machine in 12th position, trying to stay on the outside. I gotta say, kudos to the 98 for keeping the position that he's in, because these drivers are rolling on about 5-lap old tires compared to with green flag runs inside of this caution that we last had. So curious on the fact of having the 5-lap older tires, but the drivers are still doing a good job keeping pace with those that have freshies.
Yeah, I mean, 5 laps isn't too terribly huge, so it's, I mean, he could have been one of the drivers that was saving a little bit during that situation, or when he took tires, just to kind of flip the position at the stage. So right now, we got a lot of green flag racing ahead of us in a long time, 110 laps or so. So it's not a time to be overly aggressive this early. So a lot of these drivers are going to be taking their time, trying to save tires, maybe make moves where they see it's a safe, smart time to do it. So we're just going to ride along, kind of take it easy, take it safe, and try to save those tires for maybe a later run or for a fuel-saving strategy.
To hop on board with the 4 machine, Trevor Earhart looking back at Douglas Newbiggie, as well as the 10 machine of Ryan Ferraro. This is back in that 17th, 18th, 19th position. Douglas Newbiggie trying to find a way to go forward for the 7 machine. He had his moments going forward, and still willing to risk giving a bump if possible. Is now going to be making a sneaky move, pushing the 4 high as they went 3 wide for a quick moment, forcing Trevor Earhart into this 3 wide motion. And you do not want to be this 4 is off the exit of the corner. You just get so tight between these drivers, but they skated their way through as Earhart. I don't think he's going to be feeling luck to or happy there with the Lucky Ducks driver at that moment.
No, it definitely doesn't look like he was happy with him. Douglas Newbiggie kind of stuck his nose way underneath, got into the grass a little bit, forcing the number 4 out of that lane. And the number 4 even showed a little bit of his frustration with that, trying to pinch him out of the turn. But nonetheless, Douglas was able to get around him and is now fighting the other drivers along with Danny Cochran, trying to move forward after that spin he had that didn't bring out a caution. So Douglas doing a great job moving up through the field again. And is there 3 wide with Danny Cochran and
it's a 98 of Ben Kinney. He's going to be on the outside. Ben's going to be losing momentum again on those older set of tires. A driver that's traditionally battling for inside the top 25. He's doing his best to stay up front as long as possible, as the 98 will now fall behind the 2 of Danny Cochran, as the 7 of Douglas Newbiggie, you saw there, was willing and was tempted to make a couple of moves, trying to set up to get by the 55 of, that's going to be Jared Kelly in front of him, as well as trying to find a way to get by Zach Hall. I think the 7 is one of the few drivers that we've been watching willing to muscle and force it 3 wide, as well as John Forbes and a couple of other drivers that have been up front. And that riskiness, the risk to reward, obviously they're feeling like the risk to force 3 wide, move a driver up just a little bit, is well worth that reward.
Yeah, move the driver up just a little bit to get around him, get that 1 position. You might just get one position a lap, but that could be just enough for you to do while you also kind of maintain a saving part there. But Douglas getting around Zach Hall as well. He's doing a great job picking off drivers one by one. Is looking underneath also the number 55 there of Jared Kelly. Following Josh Knobel, we've got a lot of 2x2 racing here in about the middle of the field. Drivers doing a great job keeping off each other. He's loving going to the inside here, trying to get the position, get his nose underneath that quarter panel to get around. And he's making the pass now on Joshua Kanata as well.
It's just get the driver feeling uncomfortable and gladly will take that pass away. The 7 continues on his march forward. Also, as we were looking back, that was off the 15 of Ken Campbell. We're seeing GT Rizari trying to work the outside groove. Larry England staying low. That's a driver that's on the inside, fading backwards. That's Drew Jua on the 88. Older tires, so they're starting to feel that wear and tear sooner than the rest of the field. But the one driver that marched his way quickly through this pack and didn't want to get involved in this mixture, John Forbes in the lead position, already up by 6/10 of a second over Brian Noel. Nick Crawford also almost a second and a half behind the 11. I gotta say, John Forbes has done everything that he needs to do to perfectly solidify himself in this top spot. It's now just wait, protect until we see those pit stops, which looking at the fuel run, is around 66 to 68 laps that they can go. We'll see if they want to push it that far or if they're going to think about tires sooner than later.
And John, he's doing a great job here in the lead at Atlanta on the fresher tires, coming off a strong win earlier this week in the ISRC Truck Series. As he won there, he's taking that momentum here, bringing it to the rest of the field in WSSR. But pitting is going to be a thing on all these drivers' minds. Pitting under green is can be very dangerous, trying to get off the track so you don't get hit behind. But difference about this Atlanta versus what we raced in the season in race number 1 of the season, no, they're not all packed in a bunch. So pitting is going to be a little easier here than it was in the first race of the season. But John Forbes doing a good job up there, has some great pace and still maintaining a pretty decent lead over second place of Brian Noel.
Almost a full second being the difference, which is taking them almost completely out of the range of having to have that draft assistant for some other drivers. As the next driver that's on the similar set of tires when they decide to go into pit road, that would be back in 6th position, where we see Gavin Rogers currently, and he's not even in this shot of drivers that are battling. He's back here with the pink machine of Cedric Hunter and Ken Campbell. These are the drivers that went into pit road and got service for themselves on the same lap as John Forbes 20 laps ago, with the likes of Gavin Rogers, Ken Campbell, GT Rizari. Those 3 drivers trying to find a way to catch up to the 11, or hope that as the run progresses, they'll naturally catch back up to them before protecting these tires.
Yeah, John Forbes, like I said, having some screamer of racing right now. He might be not saving his tires like a lot of these other drivers, but you got Cedric Hunter and Gavin Rogers here racing for position for 6th place. Gavin has slowly been making his way up through the field, trying to make his presence known. Coming off the win last week at Auto Club as well, he's definitely starting to show more of a long-run pace driver. He's had to start about the midfield majority of this season. He's still up there. Again, like you said earlier, the only driver here season 10 that has had all 3 races in the top 5. So he is doing phenomenal and showing what he needs to get done to do it. So he got a little loose there down on the apron, but still able to maintain, keep the car straight, and just be able to pull away from Ben Campbell and Cedric Hunter and make his charge up to the front.
And Ken Campbell, YouTube, the 15 is a driver that is trying to change how this season has been for himself. Last season was a complete nightmare. Had 1 or 2 maybe good races. Everything else was just a fall apart moment. Here so far this season, he's found himself getting the first top 10 to start off at Atlanta, then got 13th at Pocono, and then last race got 20th at Auto Club, hoping to change the way that has been moving and wants to start finishing higher up. But the high quality for Ken Campbell is qualified. He qualified instead of top 15. He qualified 10th last race, 14th at Pocono, and 8th at Atlanta. Here tonight was his lowest qualifying of the season, but running 6th currently on the same time when he came into pit road as John Forbes. I think the 15 going to be a driver to watch out for. As take a look at the driver that was involved with our first incident to bring out a caution for the 50, or first time he was involved in an incident for the 51 of Vincent Sora. Hoping not to be involved in any more, as he had another scare about 5 laps ago. Richard, this magnet that Vincent Sora's had over him, it's got to be the most frustrating thing as a driver when you do everything that you feel like is right, but the racing gods say that you're in the wrong spot right now.
And I've been in his shoes as a driver also, where you've had some really good races finally, and just just luck does not go your way. You're just a magnet for all the disaster, and that has been the story of Vincent Stora's season so far to start off. And you know, not being in the first caution of the race, it was nothing out of nothing he could have done. It's just Joshua Kanata got a little loose and got in the clothes and spun to the inside. But he's doing a really good job recovering right now. He's right along with him back there, so he's doing a good job up to the 20th position. Down a lot from where he started. That's he had to get some damage repaired, but still got some good pace. He's making passes here and there where he can, but I think he's just trying to play it even more safe than he was before. But hopefully he can do it, get a good recovery run in and finish up there in the top 10 or better.
As this race progresses, we're going to be seeing that tire change once again around that cycle of kind of the second wave into a green flag run. First wave around lap 10 to 15, and then around 25 to 30 is the next one. If you want to protect your tires for this whole entire time. So drivers trying to hold steady. Around that time that we saw that first caution come out, where drivers were starting to snap loose. And it wasn't just the drivers up front, it was all throughout the field that everyone started to have the similar handling go away. And I was given a report from the likes of Shane Terry. He told me before this race could have a lot of overcorrection incidences because of how easy it is to just lose the car and how snappy the grip is trying to overcorrect. So this field knows every single corner at this moment on is a danger throughout the whole entire field.
Yeah, the cars here in Atlanta love to just snap on you sometimes, especially trying to correct. I mean, that's just the story of these cars on the surface, I think, anyways. I mean, the cars, you'll be going really fast and sliding, and you'll be trying to save the car, and then it just slows down enough where all of a sudden you get a whole bunch of grip, and the car just darts to the right. So overcorrecting is definitely an issue with drivers have to worry about. Even makes it worse so here at Atlanta with this old surface. But Zach Hall is runners right along with Zach Hall and Douglas Newbigging here with Cedric Hunter as well. Zach Hall disappearing there for a second, but doing a good job making his way back up through the field as well alongside Douglas. Taking the outside here. They're still 2 by 2 this far back in the field is fantastic to see.
It certainly is, as Joshua Kanata runs in 6th place, 2 by 2, and a little bit of a wiggle there, and oh, more contact going to be made, as that was around seeing Drew Jua, Samuel Garcia making some contact on the back stretch. Luckily, they keep it pointed in the right direction, even with all those taps to one another. But you can already tell drivers in the summer just trying to catch their car more than that they're trying to get into one another, as well as the factor that we know side drafting is something drivers look for, try to slow their competition down on the straightaways, pitching and unlining to keep your foot in the throttle at the exit. All the small little nuances that drivers look for an advantage. As a grouping, we were just watching for a quick moment, single filed out. Now I'm going to be trying to find who's willing to be more aggressive. As up front, it is still John Forbes having a second over Nick Crawford, who seems to be the driver on the move and that top fight between top 2 drivers. But seeing that 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place position change, Crawford with good speed, but the problem is he's running just as fast as our leader. But that was while he was making the pass over the 8.
Yeah, John Forbes is doing an impressive job up there. He has actually extended his lead to 1.1 second at one point in time. So he's doing a fantastic job up there in the lead still. I mean, clean air on these cars are amazing. The car feels probably the best it's ever going to feel. It's like you're racing on qualifying. But he is starting to lose a little bit of time. Nick Crawford finally finding a little bit of speed, trying to catch him with Brian McCann tailing behind him and Brian Noel. So these drivers might be trying to make a move to get up and get that lead from John Forbes. So we'll see how this plays out. We still have over half of a race to go. So it's about to get really interesting with green flag pit stops looming very soon.
Yeah, and looking at the fuel window, this race technically could turn into a one-stop if you're able to protect your tires and drive far enough along. Haven't seen anyone make the indication that they're thinking about green flag pit stops. One driver is around on the back stretch. It's the 55. That's going to be Jared Kelly, back out in 29th position. Spins it around, and, well, first half of the race is going to be over. When we come back for after this caution's over, it is going to be the second half. And Richard, I mean, Looking at the incident, it actually was going down into turn number 1. The 55 spun around, a miscalled where that wreck happened. But this group, it's just middle of the pack. Drivers getting antsy with trying to make big moves on tires that just do not want to allow it.
Yeah, that wasn't necessarily a big move situation there. Did start kind of around the start-finish line. The 55 of Jared, he just kind of got a little loose coming into the tri-oval there and just trying to save it. The car just wiggling back and forth. It looked like Larry got into him, but I don't think there was any contact. So just the self-spin from Jared that brings out the caution. And that will be, by the time we go back green flag racing, we'll be halfway to go in the race. But I also think we still have pit stops that are going to be under green flag if the race, maintains green flag running, because you can't go 75 laps on these tanks unless you were doing a massive fuel save strategy, which I believe can be done. We'll just see if any driver is willing to try that, but it's more than likely another pit stop after this yellow as well.
Oh, there's slight contact made, but like you said, it was already looking snappy loose going through that quad oval as 55 goes around. That will allow drivers to enter pit road, get service done, and the difference of tire strategy, well, throw it out the window. Everyone coming into pit road, 4 tires and fuel to get out there on track. Well, for us up at the booth, we will take our first commercial break of the evening as you are watching the WSSR Cup Series here tonight, Season 10. We've had 4 different winners, and we've had 3 different winners so far, 4 different pole sitters. Will we have a 4th different winner, or could we see a multi-time winner? We will find out when we come back. It's the second half of the Atlanta race for round number 4 in Season 10. We'll be back right after this. 5 wide behind her pit.
Oh my, the 5 wide here, this ain't gonna work. They make it last, bumping and banging to the end. They're beating banging for the lead. Sora still with the shot here, coming off a 4. That's it.
It's bottom line, here it comes. Oh no, Carter gets wrecked. It's gonna be that Nick Crawford. The 74 gets through somehow, and they just completely demolish one another. Trinity diving down low, drifting up, trying to be the stealer. Here he comes, Cedric Hunter. He does it. He steals it.
But he somehow drove it into the corner to wreck it.
Oh, they wrecked. They wrecked each other. The top 2 bounced into one another. Just too much of side drifting off of, and they got to be careful. Oh no, the 4 demolishes in the 28. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Green Flag Racing. It's John Ford Jr. leading the charge with Brian McCann second, third being Brian Noel with Joshua Kanata and Zach Hall finishing the top 5. We're happy to give you the coverage of the WSSR Cup Series here tonight on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is Richard Wilsifer, and running productions in the background is Robert Moyer Jr. And Richard, we got that caution. We're now officially into the second half of this race, and I think everyone might be in the same record book of it might be time to calm down for some up front. But I'm curious who in the middle it's going to feel like it's go time because they lost too much track position.
Yeah, I mean, we're halfway through. It's time to start deciding on what your plan is for the rest of this race. So a lot of the front drivers are just going to take it easy. They're kind of where they want to be. They don't want to be in an unfortunate situation. So, but take it easy up front is kind of the name of the game. But further back in the field, you kind of want to start looking at making moves sooner rather than later, because time will run out, and we'll run out a lot quicker than you think usually. So we'll probably see a lot of exciting racing in the back, and I mean, we're seeing a lot of racing up front as well, as cars are kind of all over the place, still side by side.
Joshua Kanata breaking loose off the exit of turn 2 as he bobs and weaves back into line, able to keep that position for 5th place position. Now going to be up front, seeing the drivers of Brian McCann leading up front. We have not seen this picture, I feel like, for over a season, maybe even a season and a half. This 8 machine was a threat back when we were running the Gen 8s, Gen 4 machines and the ARCA cars back in season 7 to 8, and it was a fun time to be watching the drivers. And Brian McCann, one of those drivers that was always fun, going back and forth with Brian Noel in 2nd place currently, as Nick Crawford as well as Gavin Rogers battle for that 5th and 4th place position.
Yeah, Gavin Rogers up there now running in the top 5 with Zach Hall and Cedric Hunter, another 2 great names up there right with him. So they're finally making some moves up front. But yeah, to see Brian McCann up in front, that is awesome to see. Probably one of the most unique schemes out there in the field as well, running that Dale Earnhardt Jr. Split scheme. But did a good job, got around John Forbes with him and Brian Noel. John Forbes could just be looking to save a little bit of tire. We'll have to see what his plans are, see if he can make his way back up to the front and take the lead. But he's got Gavin Rogers now in full, tracking him down. Gavin is smelling that 1st place position, looking to go back-to-back wins here in Atlanta.
Trying to become the first driver to be a multi-time winner, if possible. Other drivers that have won this season, Drew Jua and Cody Reed. And currently looking at the way Drew Jua's looking, he's back in 14th place. And ever since making the call right before the stage and giving up track position, I mean, it's been hard for Drew to keep those spots. He did not qualify well. Currently still trying to find his footing to go forward. Gavin Rogers runs 4th. Nick Crawford, you know, looking at before that caution came out, I think the 74 was the driver and note. He was running down the 11 of John Forbes, as seen back and forth for a quick moment there as GT Azari and Joshua Kanata get a little bit mixy, but Nick Crawford, he looked like one of the strongest drivers on the long run once we got past 30 laps into a run. Curious if we can stay green for that long, and where the 74 placing himself, able to go forward and attack. It's Ken Campbell, GT Azari. This is the battle for 10th place on screen.
Yeah, looking for the long run of, like you say, Nick Crawford. So gonna hope this race stays as green as long as he possibly can to get that better long run pace. And a lot of the times, these drivers have been known to have these longer green flag drives. So we're going to be looking forward to a long run here. Hopefully, no more cautions the rest of the race, or maybe another one to kind of throw the strategy up in the air and take a curveball to a lot of these drivers. So we'll see what these drivers can come up with and do. As we got Nick Crawford running right there in front of Zach Hall, behind Gavin Rogers, trying to make their way up to the front to take the lead as well. But drivers kind of just lining up, trying to calm down, take it easy, as we still have around 60 laps to go in the 70 laps to go in this race.
There's still plenty of great racing to be seen here tonight as Trevor Earhart in 12th position for the 4. You see that gold machine, one of the more unique schemes you can see out there on track, so easy to spot, with a few other drivers that are pretty easy to spot when you see them compared to the rest, as at the moment, seeing all those drivers race on by. Some of the biggest movers from where they qualified. Brent McCann, obviously the biggest one right now at 27 positions from where he started. Trevor Earhart up 19 spots. Drew Jua in 14th. He's up 15 positions. The drivers that are back in 20th place, want to give them a little bit of credit and cheers, as that's Christopher Norris in 20th position, and a driver we have not talked about tonight, who's had similar bad luck when he shows up to races to Vincent Sora. It's going to be Brandon Colley in the 78 machine. Both drivers up more than 10 positions. Colley up 12, Christopher Norris up 14 positions. They might be up further back in the field, but it's always got to be feeling good when you're moving up from where you qualified.
Yeah, you might have started in the far back, but passing cars is definitely kind of a little boosting morale as you get up through the field. And yeah, Norris also one of those drivers that has just not had a very lucky start to the season and kind of fell to what we call the Caster curse last week by me. So hopefully he can recover, have another good run here with the cars spreading out like they are at a typical intermediate like Atlanta. Less of a chance to get involved with some situations here as we ride along with the number 73.
73 of Justin Malarkey, as well as Christopher Wade, Bale Hull. They're going to be back in 29th, 30th, and 31st, giving a little bit of cheers. The drivers running in the back, maybe not having the perfect nights that they were hoping for, but I gotta say, at least keeping in the draft of the drivers ahead of them. And for some drivers, that's kind of the goal. You may not feel like you're the fastest car that night, and your goal is just to run with the drivers around you, and that's exactly what we're seeing from the 73, the 53, and the 48, as they're trying to find a way to keep close to Stitz and John Ross ahead. We go up ahead to the lead position as Brian Noel, John Forbes Jr., as John has found this decision that it's time to go, as they've ran about 15 laps under green flag conditions on these tires. It's the 11 trying to poke a nose ahead if possible, but they'll stay side by side, drag racing into turn number 3. And I got a sense, if you're the 11 of John Forbes, contact's made in the center of the corner. He wants to get by this 00, because there's one driver, there's two that are making big moves and gains on this lead 2. That's Gavin Rogers, Nick Crawford. They are called it. It's green light to go. They're trying to run down these top 2 drivers, and that was a huge save by both the 00 and the 11 through 3 and 4.
Yeah, it was a huge move by John Forbes, trying to take the lead back away from Brian Noel. Got into his side just a little bit. Driver's still able to keep it straight and keep running, not losing any positions. But yeah, you got Gavin Rogers, Nick Crawford, and all them trying to make moves. Gavin getting around Brian McCann has now got his sights set on John Forbes, making a huge progress, cutting that lead down from those two. Gavin, it is just a matter of laps before he can get up and make a move for the lead to lead this race for the first time tonight.
And Gavin Rogers, he's also got a tandem driver with him. Nick Crawford sticking behind. Wherever Gavin goes, that's where Crawford goes as well, as they are trying to make this surge to catch up to our top 2. Ryan Noel, John Forbes now going to be running that outside group, wants to get some clean air on that front nose to be able to turn the corner better. But the 11 recognizing it's go time. Huge run off the exit of turn 4. Now going to be right on the back bumper into turn number 1 as we ride on board with the 74 Nick Crawford. Crawford, he's trying to find a way to move closer and closer, as we are 10 laps away from when we saw Crawford really at his peak of speed and was one of the fastest drivers out on track. And We know each one is so different, from how well you protected your tires to when you're really going to have that long run pace. Gavin Rogers looked like he changed it up. This 75 wants the lead now.
Yeah, Gavin is running the outside line a little bit more to try to get the momentum as he's making a challenge for second place from Brian Noel there. He has definitely got his sights on leading this race. I think he's just kind of tired of sitting in the back, ready to get up here and run. As he's able to clear Brian Noel almost out of turn 2, down the backstretch, now in P2. Sights are set on the leader, John Forbes, trying to run away as if a fox is chasing him. Gavin Rogers now in second place.
Gavin Rogers now going to be in the peak position to move forward. And Crawford keeping it close. Another driver that's running pretty similar good pace. Zach Hall, Cedric Hunter. Those drivers back in 6th and 7th, and also trying to pull along the likes of Larry Yingling in 8th place. They're still about a second and a half behind our leader, but they also are running very close pace to the likes of Rogers as well as Crawford, as now Nick Crawford's going to be trying to find a way to get by 3rd place position, but Larry Yingling trying to tag along with Hall as well as Hunter and Earhart to catch up to this picture that we see on screen of Nick Crawford as well as Brian Noel, Gavin Rogers. The front group going to be very much closer. The accordion stretched out and now starting to close in. I'm expecting the next 10 to 15 laps. We're going to see this grouping a lot closer, but also that's going to put us in the window of asking a lot of questions, Richard, of when do you make the decision to go into pit road, or have some drivers further in the back made the call of I'm saving fuel to make it to the end?
Yeah, it is. I do believe it is possible if you really want to stretch that fuel tank to save enough fuel to last to the end of this race, but it is a huge gamble to do so. So we'll have to see what the strategies play out for everybody right now. They're only about 24, 25 laps into this run of Green Flag Racing last time they pit. So, I mean, they still got a good 40 laps before pits even are going to start. But they're already a second off their pace from new tires also. So the big question is the undercut worth the time lost, or is everyone going to pit when that fuel tank is almost on empty? So a lot of strategies, a lot of thinking to be made here on when to pit, because that is where you can make or break your race and whether or not you become a winner or out of the top 10.
Watch some of the front runners. If they're in fuel I can't even get it out. Fuel saving mode. That's the easier way to say it for these drivers, because I know one driver that's further in the back is saving fuel. That's the 21 of Ross Tatum in 25th position. The last season, I think he's been doing it for this whole entire run. This 21 is clutching into the corners. He is saving fuel. It is saved and taken to the end. That is the way that Ross Tatum feels like he's going to win this race. As you see here, goes into the clutch, drops the RPMs, that gets back into the throttle quite immediately. Not a lot of saving, but he's doing the most minimal he can to also keep pace while also saving fuel.
You know, I think the biggest thing about that, though, is how, because believe it or not, doing this also saves your tires a little bit more. So you still might not be as fast as new tires, but your pace isn't going to be as bad as if you were running that long on as full throttle the entire time. I think the one thing that might help out a little bit more is maybe holding the turn a little bit further in, maybe getting lower on the track, but he's doing a good job holding that clutch in, trying to save as much fuel. He's going to try to make this race last until the end, as long as there's no yellow flags.
I've been looking at some of those top drivers. I'm not seeing anyone else clutching. This 21 is the only one that might be attempting that strategy call. Try to stretch it to the end. As we get back to looking up front, it's getting a little bit more hectic for the drivers that are inside of our top 6. Zach Hall has now entered the mixture of drivers that want a threat to challenge our top 4, as Gavin Rogers is now right on the back bumper of John Forbes, the 75. We knew his pace was going to be there to catch up to the front leaders. Was it enough to make the pass and take the lead? It looks like it might be just enough, as John Forbes is squeezing and not allowing the 75 to get the run off the exit. This actually might help Nick Crawford, who's now closing in the mix, but also Hall's made the pass. He's now up to 4th. Richard, we've got a 4-horse battle for who's going to be in this top spot by the end of this race.
Yeah, this race is about to get really interesting here in the next 5 or so laps, with Zach Hall closing in as well. the top, back into the top 4 now. His eyes are set on Nick Crawford, but Gavin is still trying to make the pass onto John Forbes. He wants to get up there in that lead, get those laps led, just unable to make the pass yet. John's doing a great job defending it, but he has got a lot of faster cars also behind him, ready to pounce at any moment. It looks like Nick Crawford might look low. He's going to back off a little bit as Forbes and Gavin Rogers up there on the top side, but Crawford rolling the inside really well, gets alongside Gavin, but Gavin gets the run off the turn 2 down the backstretch.
And we saw this a lot during that first stage when it was getting late and we almost got to that first caution on how important the outside lane was, how it was so critical to hold position, hold pace, especially when everyone was on the same lap time when they went into pit road. That outside lane was the defensive lane to be placed in. That's exactly why John Forbes is staying high, not allowing the 75 to get any higher than him. And it's put in what we call aero block for the 75, but it gives an opening for Nick Crawford to close in the gap. He just needs to find the better spacing to keep his foot in the throttle and maximize the run off the exit of these corners. Right now, Crawford seems to be just a little bit too close, as now Zach Hall is right on the back bumper. Our top 4, all within 3/10 of one another. Gavin Rogers with a good run off the exit of the corner. He's trying to stay there. Also have the draft help from Nick Crawford. Gavin to the inside quarter panel, but backs off before going into turn 1.
You can throw a blanket over these 4 cars in the top 4 as Zach Hall's looking low to try to make a move on Crawford. But Gavin's still trying to make moves to get that lead, just cannot get the momentum out of the turns to get that pass made. It's almost like you want to get that pass made in the turn right now because Forbes doing a great job utilizing that outside lane as Zach Hall moves into 3rd from Nick Crawford and makes the pass into turn 3.
And I think that might have been a little bit of teammates for Snow Desert Racing, Hall and Crawford, as there really wasn't a battle between those two. As now it's going to be right back to the top 2. Gavin Rogers, John Forbes running that top lane, trying to get themselves moving forward. But as these top drivers continue to try to figure out who's going to slide in front of the 11. Further on back, some drivers are really starting to lose the handling of their machines. They've been out on track for 33 laps on this set of tires. And Richard, this has been the window that we've seen caution flags come out because the handling just becomes unbearable for some. They find themselves spinning out, collecting another driver. These are those moments where if you're up front, track position so key. If you have a chance to take the lead position or move up a position or more, you have to take it before the next caution comes out because I don't know if we're going to make it to green flag pit stops.
Yeah, it is definitely strange to think that this late in the run is when the aggression is going to pick up. But like you said, this is where the cautions have generally flown about the lap 30 mark. It's where the tires are kind of starting to wear out from the cars. They're getting a little bit more loose than what they're normal used to. So we'll see if these guys can keep it straight and keep it green. But the aggression up front, it is heating up as Gavin's still trying to make moves and try and get around the lead. But Zach Hall is trying to close in as well. But they're still doing great racing back here with Joshua Kanata and Danny Cochran.
For
Zach Hall lost a little bit on the inside.
Hall loose out of 2, and it just continued to break loose as he was going down the backstretch. Still, these tires are warm out of their mind, and the 1 machine just trying to keep the car underneath them as he's just being passed by one after another. And Hall, who looked like probably the next threat to try to run down our leader and make the pass for the lead, instead is clogging up the middle of this pack around this 10th place position where, guess who? It's Vincent Sora the Magnet who's right there in the mix.
It's Sora right there, the magnet, like you said. Zach Hall able to stay within the top 10 at least, but coming out of turn 2, he got up into the wall a little bit, got a little slow, and then Nick Crawford, his teammate, got into him. But pit stops are being made. Brian Noel and Joshua Granada diving off the track. They're going to be the first ones down pit road. We might start seeing green flag pit stops now.
I didn't hear a single word over the radio that they were going to make that pit stop. That was an immediate reaction of we're going into the pits, which I mean, that's the opposite of what I would think. I would think with all the drivers, the way that they've been wiggling all around, stay out as long as possible. Bank on a caution might be the call of my mind, but for some of these other drivers, it's we need tires. Hopefully the rest of the field thinks the same thing, and they'll be pitting soon, as now Brian McCann now going to be going into pit road. It's our front runners that are making the call to pit road first.
This might be a good call by them, because if this forces the hands on the rest of the field, I mean, you might have 50 laps left on these tires or 40 laps to go on these tires. So there's pretty much splitting this last part of the race in half after that last yellow. So it's not a bad call. They're going to have about a second to a second and a half faster pace than these cars up front. They might be able to make their time and make this undercut work. But that was very early, a lot earlier than I was expecting, especially with potential cautions happening around this time of the race as well.
Oh, and there was almost one out of turn number 4. Christopher Norris looked out of control, but here is going to be the speed difference. Driver with fresh tires compared to old, and just coming off the exit of the corner, you can see the difference for Josh Kanata, but it's through the corners where it's the big gains for fresh rubber. It's Kanata now going to be trying doing his best to run down the front group. There is one driver of note. Yeah, we noted on it about 20 laps ago, Ross Tatum. He is still clutching, still saving, and he is still in the realm of 7 seconds to our leader. This has been fabulous for the 21 machine. The fact that he has not continued to lose time, he's actually kept it stable since he started clutching and saving fuel.
Yeah, this might actually, if this race stays green, this might be a good call by him. He's going to be, like we said earlier, about a second and a half slower than people on fresh tires. But that's still, I mean, that's a 33-second lap these drivers got to pull. So that's going to be probably about 20 to 25 laps before they catch him again. So I don't know. It'll be close on both speed, tire wear, and whether or not he can save enough fuel. But if he can pull this off, that is going to be the move of the race for sure with this decision to save fuel.
I 100% agree, as drivers have made the call to go into pit road. Ben Kinney, Jared, as oh boy, Zach, Vincent Sora, as well as Ken Campbell. Big whoa up as the tires up front, those that were pushing. Again, the different waves that we see for the tire, kind of the way that it cools down, heats up. If you are saving your tires, you are finding yourself that if you push at any moment, all that saving is gone, and you might be on the back foot as more drivers went into pit road. Douglas Newbigin, the newest, to head into pit road and get service done. But Richard, I mean, this race is changing so dramatically with drivers going into pit road or not, as we are about to take a look at weather. I mean, that's another factor that's been changing throughout the night, as we were at around 119 on that track 10. It's still hot for these drivers out there on track this late into a run.
Yeah, this track has jumped up to 129 degrees, 10 degrees hotter than what we started the race at. So these tires are definitely getting heated up. They're definitely getting worn out by the heat of the track. But that is the old surface of Atlanta. It takes the heat, it keeps it, and it keeps getting hotter. So these cars are definitely slipping and sliding all over the place, especially on those older tires where grip is just leaving the life of those.
As now we're seeing drivers having to cut their way through. John Force now goes into pit road. Big smoke pile up as drivers trying to lock their tires to get into pit road without being caught speeding. But we're seeing drivers with fresh rubber making big moves. Brian McCann trying to get through. They actually went 4 wide on the last group that we had our shot on, as trying to cut their way through. Brian McCann, Brian Noel, they want to get ahead as quickly as possible, as well as they know they have to run down and catch up to Ross Tatum, who's the driver and who's trying to save the fuel to make it to the end. Gavin Rogers leads this race. He's got Nick Crawford behind him. Drew Jua has caught up and gotten into the mix with these leaders. I mean, it is a full fight, but how much longer are you willing to stay out, as Garcia goes a little bit off track for a quick moment? And Campbell also follows him into pit road.
It is definitely a hard decision to make on when to pit, because that undercut can be so dangerous for those cars that stayed out as long as they have. So, I mean, they're hoping that, you know, when they come in, they're going to have the speed and the pace better than the ones that pit earlier than them. But at what part does that cross over? Does that turn into advantage for the ones that stayed out longer? They're hoping for that to be what makes that help for the end of the race. But those new tires, they are screaming around this track, trying to catch up, back up to where they were as we were watching, you know, more cars around the field there. But right along here with the number 4 of Trevor Earhart.
Currently in 9th place. He's challenging with Jared Talmadge, who's on full bore and go mode. Up front, Drew Jewis trying to make the pass back to the lead position. The 88 wants to be placed in. And some more drivers exiting pit road of Jake Cochran as well as Ken Campbell getting their service done. It's still our top 18 that need to make a pit stop at some moment. One of those 18 is going to be trying to stretch their fuel out. That's Ross Tatum, who currently runs in 12th position at this time and has actually closed the gap to less than 7 seconds to Gavin Rogers and Drew Jua.
And, you know, looking at it, Ross Tatum's actually running a little bit faster times than those of Gavin Rogers and Drew Jua as well. So the tires, the fuel saving he's been doing has also been saving his tires to where his pace is just a little bit faster than the leader. So he's doing a fantastic job with this fuel saving, with saving his tires as well for a longer run. So I'm hoping, honestly, it'd be really awesome to see this strategy from Ross Tatum work out here at Atlanta tonight.
Ross Tatum hoping to find the speed, the placement to get himself up front and get into victory lane, as the 21 has been one of those drivers that had such bad luck at moments and times in his WSSR career. Did part-time for a few races, but here tonight he would love to get into victory lane if possible and mark another win for himself, as he has found himself into victory lane in the past. He's done it once so far. I was back in North Wilkesboro almost a year ago for himself. So the 21 machine wants to get a second win in this series, but he is going with the riskiest call of them all.
Also, in screen there, we were watching him. We noticed Zach Hall was really slow on the inside of the track. He missed his pit entrance. He was trying to pit with Cedric Hunter and could not get down in time. So he lost a ton of ground as he's just now pitting on this lap. But as we ride along with Shane Terrian, who's taking the decision to pit as well.
Oh, trouble for the 4. Trevor Earhart, black flag, caught speeding on entry, 40-second hold, as he was looking for a top 10 finish. Instead, he's going to need a caution to help him get back on the lead lap after this pit cycle concludes. The 4 machine is just about to be able to take off and go, but he will be 1 lap down once this pit cycle concludes. Nick Crawford still about a half second behind, as watching Ryan Kelly with fresh rubber getting by our top 2. The top 3, excuse me, all within 4/10 of one another. But again, these grouping of drivers we do not feel like can make it to the end of this race, as Gavin Rogers with a big slide off at 2. The question is we know that they're going to be close. It's around 5 to 10 laps that we thought that they were going to be off. Maybe around 15 if they were pushing it too aggressively. But at this moment, I mean, tires might be a bigger issue if you're really sliding this much. I mean, Richard, I know popping a tire here at Atlanta is possible if you go the full distance.
It definitely can be a thing to worry about, where they get that meatball flag saying they need to pit for tires, and Gavin has definitely got his work cut out for him. He is struggling to keep that car under control. It might be time for him to consider getting some tires, but these drivers in the top 3, they might be still holding off for a potential caution. I think it's a little late for them to be trying to pit, unless they might be going for a 2-tire stop or something to try to reduce their time on pit road. But Nick Crawford making his move around Gavin Rogers. Rogers off the pace now, has lost a lot of speed because of how old these tires are.
And at the pace, these drivers, their fastest lap that some of the field put down was around 32.0. And some of the fastest laps that were put down in the middle of the field by Brian Noel. As you see, Ali Fonseca getting by David Cochran as well, past our leaders. But currently our leader of Drew Jua running almost 2 seconds slower than some of the drivers that have put down their fastest lap. Gavin Rogers is over 2 seconds slower than some of the fastest laps that have been put down here this evening. The 75, he is losing a lot of time now, over a second behind Drew Jua.
Yeah, he is losing a lot of time. Unfortunate to see for Gavin Rogers, but you know, to take another look, Drew is doing a great job in the lead here, but another driver to look at, Ross Tatum, the driver that is trying to save, still out, still saving, still running faster laps than some of these top drivers. But the next driver on newer tires back is Brian Noel in the 11th position, as Ross Tatum's in 6th. But Brian Noel is still 14 seconds back as well, so he's still got plenty of time to catch up and get around. I don't know if Ross Tatum will be able to make this work on a fuel-saving strategy, but if anything, it still might be getting a better finishing position than he might have had if he would have pit and took tires. So Still running that strategy to try to get a better finish, but we'll just have to see as the rest of this race progresses to see what he can do with this fuel shaving strategy he's gone with.
And we're about to see a change on who is now the hunter to run down Ross Tatum. That is now John Forbes in the 11 machine with 7 lap fresher tires than the 00, just making the pass, getting by, now trying to set up to get by Brian McCann, and give it to John Forbes, who was the leader before he went into pit road, trying a little bit of a gutsier strategy. Went with the risk of pitting before the caution flag came out, got back on the lead lap, and now to Ross Tatum, about 12 seconds behind, coming up to 20 laps to go at the pace that we are seeing currently. John Forbes should be there with about 5 to 6 laps to go to Ross Tatum. The other groups of drivers threw it out there, taking 2 tires. If you're gonna go with that gamble, I feel like you have to make it now, coming up to 20 laps to go.
Yeah, they have to start thinking about pitting now. I don't foresee a caution really happening anytime soon with fresh tires out there. So a lot of these drivers, as we have Nick Crawford, looks like he's diving down to finally hit the pits, but Gavin Rogers still staying out on the track with Drew Drua as well, as he's getting passed by Zach Hall, who's on fresh tires as well.
As Ross Tatum trying to figure out a way to get by Brandon Colley. Colley and Ross Tatum have been racing around one another. So Colley ahead of this 21 for this whole entire stint, as Colley continues to fight Ross, and this is hurting the 21, who just needs to get clean air and get ahead of all of the drivers around him. Not looking like it's going to be the case, as some drivers of note trying not to get challenged with penalties, and looks like Christopher Norris, who entered pit road, going to be caught with a penalty of going too far in his pit stall, had to back up and lost a major time for the 38 machine. But of those that have yet to pit, we still have 8 drivers that still need to make that pit stop. That's GT Rosari, Brian McCann, as well as our top 6 being Justin Malarkey, Ross Tatum, Brandon Colley, Jarrett Talmadge, Gavin Rogers, and Drew Jua, as they continue to stay green. Ross, I gotta say, count your numbers, because John Forbes is rolling right now. He is now within 8 seconds to this 21, and this battle is just hurting him each and every lap.
Yeah, this battle is not something Ross should really be worrying about right now, because it's hurting his tires and hurting a little bit of fuel saving, and the time that John Forbes is gaining on him as well. He just needs to kind of take his time and wait, but just Brandon Colley not getting the runs off the turn as Ross Tatum's making the move now. Still not. He might be able to clear even this turn. We'll see. Will he move up in front of him? He does. Brandon Colley finally gets passed by Ross Tatum. Now Tatum can worry about extending that gap from John as much as he possibly can, or tapering it off a little bit, because John Forbes, he is coming. He is ready. Tatum still trying to go for the fuel save.
And it was official. Christopher Norris had a 40-second hold, and is also Nick Crawford, 40-second hold on his pit stop, the 74, who looked like a threat to win here tonight. Not going to be the case. Currently 2 laps down, but once the pit cycle concludes, he'll be 1 lap down, back in 27th position. A frustrating spot for himself, as now with the laps continuing to tick down, it's John Forbes catching up now to the rear bumper of Christopher Norris, as well as a couple of other lap cars to get by. This is all the 11 does not want to see, which is traffic ahead of him. Luckily, he's got the time. He has the tires to run down and catch up to Ross Tatum, but he's 9 seconds off of Drew Jua. He's 7 seconds off of Gavin Rogers, and looking at the pace for some of the other drivers that are out there on track, Gavin is really fallen off on pace. Same for Drew Jua. I think they're making the emergency call to try to save fuel at this moment.
I think that's exactly what's going on. Drew Jua and Gavin Rogers, they're going to stay out and try to save fuel and maybe work on, finishing this off to the very end. I don't see them being able to do this, but I don't have their fuel numbers either. We'll look to see what they can do. They are way off the pace, running 34-second laps, not only on older tires, but oh man, it's definitely an interesting call by these drivers, as Ross Tatum has caught Gavin Rogers, also with Jarrett Talmadge passing him as well.
These passes are crazy. Gavin Rogers has lost over 3 seconds to Drew Jua. Now you've got Brandon Colley, Ross Tatum. This is a cluster of 4 drivers, all for position, all yet to pit. Second, back to 5th place, all here. This was not something that was on my bingo card to see when lining up how this cycle was going to conclude, as now other drivers further on back. I mean, this battle of 4 now at a lap car into it of Nick Crawford, soon to be also the 38 Christopher Norris. Those drivers on fresh rubber, they are going to slow down this group, and that's going to allow John Forbes to catch up to them even more, as they're almost 3 wide. Crawford goes by. Christopher Norris expected to get by on this next lap, the next corner, maybe the corner after that. But Richard, this is a perfect opening for John Forbes to run up and catch up to Ross Tatum, who finally gets by Jared Talmadge.
Yeah, it is a perfect opportunity as John Forbes is closing that gap ever so more. He is only a second and a half back from Gavin Rogers. So he is gaining time. He is gaining time quick. There's only 13 laps to go. John has still got a lot of moving to get through, a lot of track to get through, and a lot of traffic. So it's possible that these drivers that are saving fuel, they could potentially win if this traffic slows down John Forbes.
And John Forbes isn't just getting a clean run. He's being challenged by drivers that pitted later than he did. Currently, it's Ryan Ferraro that's putting a challenge on the 11 as he's going back and forth. And now John Forbes is about to make the pass on Gavin Rogers. Rogers has completely audibled out of this run, no longer racing for the lead. The question is how far will this 75 fall? Because a top 5 in the tradition that we've seen and kind of the streak that Gavin Rogers has been on, so looks to be ending as we race on Stay Green. John Forbes up to 5th.
Drivers don't normally hope for a caution, but Gavin Rogers is praying for a yellow flag now. His tires are no longer alive on him as he is just losing time. But it's also fuel. He won't make it to the rest of this race unless he's been saving, but the amount he has to save is so far off the pace, it's going to be rough to see if he even gets a top 10 out of this.
As this run progresses on, there are a few drivers that are given an absolute shock on the pace that they have currently. I want to give my flowers to the driver that runs in 9th place, the 2 of Danny Cochran. A complete switch around from the way he was racing last season. This 2 is looking fast in one of the drivers with the best tires within the top 10. He's running at a pace that he can maybe run up and get into the top 5 by the end of this evening with 10 laps to go.
It's very possible. He's still quite a few seconds back from that of Jared Talmadge, a good 6 seconds, but with his pace, it's still possible to catch him in just a couple of laps. And there's not many left also, as we're getting into the single digits of laps left to go as they come around the start-finish line this time around. But Danny Cochran's doing a fantastic job tonight. We'll definitely finish in the top 10.
Oh, it's fast. Drew Jewell into pit road. Forbes got by Ross. It's John Forbes to the point as it's now 9 laps to go as the 11, just in a blink of an eye, passes 5 drivers, is now our leader for this race.
Just as we expected, John Forbes now the leader of this race. Gavin Rogers even coming into pit as well. So they are not going to have the race they wanted. Drew Drua with a black flag also for pit entry. So that's another driver. A lot of black flags for these green flag pit stops as we've got 8 laps to go in this race.
Brandon Colley now battling for 2nd place. He's able to get by Ross once again as Chris Ditz is trying to run to get his laps back, but this is a shocker. We thought maybe pit road was going to be easier, but with the old tires, with how worn out they were, trying to slow down without locking up just became too difficult. And that is going to be our 5th driver on this green flag pit stop that we're not able to make it without a black flag given. Brandon Colley might get caught. Also, Talmadge, they were flying into that pit road entry. I'm going to wait and see if they get a black flag for either one of them, but they both were looking quick as well, as now Ross Tatum, one of the lone drivers, trying to stretch the fuel out to the end of this race as we're in no man's land for the field, but it's all John Forbes as the laps tick away. The 11 having over that of 4 seconds over Brian McCann, who is the next driver that's going to be good on tires. But Danny Cochran looking good to try to run down this 8 before the race is over.
Yeah, John Forbes is doing a fantastic job yet again. Had the pace earlier in the race and is showing that he still has it this late as well. Doing a good job leading the race. Danny Cochran still trying to chase down in the top 5 now. Looking towards Ross Tatum. Should be able to catch Ross before the end of this race. But Ross, again, trying to make it on fuel. That is an impressive run for him. So let's see if he can finish this race in this tank of gas.
And as though you were talking, a lot of different scenarios just went down as Brandon Colley was given a black flag penalty for the 78 machine as he was going into pit road. Douglas Newbigin also clobbering the wall off at 2 just 2 laps ago, almost bringing out a caution. And now we continue to race to the end of this thing, but will we see how many more drivers are going to lose touch to their vehicles? Because for a lot of the drivers that are up front, they're in that window 30 laps into a stint. This was the time that we were seeing cautions earlier in this race, and they're pushing a lot harder now than when they were thinking about conserving. This is a danger zone with 4 laps to go. A caution is still looming, even though John Forbes looks fully in control.
John Forbes definitely in control of this race, and all he's hoping for is a nice, clean, smooth race for him and for everybody else. He does not want to see that yellow flag come out. He wants to see the white and checkered before anything else. But this is the time, like you were saying, that we see a lot of cars kind of start losing control, but everyone with a whole bunch of different tire strategies. The field is mixed with a whole bunch of different cars. But John Forbes is in a class of his own right now with almost a 6-second lead over that of Brian McCann and Danny Cochran in 3rd place.
And Danny Cochran is within a half a second to the 8 of Brian McCann. We'll see if that's going to hold as it's 3 laps to go, soon to be 2. And for this 1 lap before the white, it's just hold your breath moments for John Forbes. Cross your fingers. You want to see that white flag because that turns this race official. If we get a yellow on this lap, though, we head to overtime. And Richard, it's looking clean for the 11. All he sees is clean air. But behind him, back in that 5th, 7th, 8th position, it is looking like carnage as he holds his breath into 3 and 4.
It is a hornet's nest through the rest of the field, but here comes John Forbes out of turn 3 and 4. He is looking at Barney, the flag guy, looking for that white flag, and that's the flag he will get. 1 lap to go. This race will be official. John Forbes is excited to see that as he dives off into turn 1.
One of the earliest drivers. He had the lead, and when he felt the pressure that maybe the lead was going to be in trouble of drivers catching up to him, he went to pit road, made the gutsy call, needed this race to stay green, and it did. John Forbes got by those that were trying to save fuel, got by those that tried to undercut him, but off of turn number 4, John Forbes, the 4th different winner this season. Welcome to victory lane for John Forbes in the 11.
An impressive run by John Forbes, showing he had the pace, showing he had the speed and how to save the tires, along with coming in at the right time to take new tires as well in this last part of the race. Is just in a class of his own tonight, taking the win, and back-to-back wins for him for this week also as he won ISRC. So that is a great week of racing for John.
And all the congratulational bumps being given around as John Forbes gets the bumps. I know for the 2 of Danny Cochran, he's happy to get 2nd. The driver, though, down in 5th place. Probably the most happy for himself that he survived even to be involved in a wreck. Vincent Sora finished a race inside of the top 30. He'll take a 5th place position as John Forbes gets prepared to burn it down. We want to say thank you again to all those that watched with us. We hope you stick around. We have the post-race show just after this as John Forbes has some fun. We'll be back for the post-race show talking to our top 3, the 11 of John Forbes, the 2 of Danny Cochran, the 8 of Brian McCann, and a spotlight driver. We'll be back right after this with our post-race show. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Freaky Fast Post Race Show for your WSSR Cup Series. Tonight, we finished up at Atlanta for race number 4, and for 4 races, 4 different pole sitters, and now make it 4 different winners. It's the 11 of John Forbes that picked the strategy out. Some decided on fuel savings, some decided to pick sooner, later. The one that picked the middle was the 11 of John Forbes, and it works out into victory lane. John, I mean, you showed speed, you worked through the field. How are you feeling after this great of a performance that honestly it looked like it was a gutsy call on any decision you took there in that final pit stop?
Yeah, just a solid race overall. I didn't really have time to practice for this one. I had work, so I got off like right when the practice session opened, got home, had like 15 minutes to kind of warm up. Kind of got qualifying down, but I knew it was going to be kind of a long run pace, and I've done a couple races in some other cars recently at this old Atlanta, so felt pretty good about the long run pace, and got into the stage, through the stage, gained a ton of spots, got up to I think seconds where I finished there. But it's pretty fun battles throughout the race. Was really focusing on keeping the right rear on it. I was doing a pretty bad job compared to my teammates the first few stops. But I also had a little bit more track position, so I was like, okay, I mean, I can settle it down a little bit, try to keep the rears on it. And then I started running like kind of a middle line, right in between the 2 seams on the bottom. And then I really woke up from there. I was able to keep the tires on it better. Get better runs off, and then just start defending from there once the guys saved a little bit better. And yeah, just run the top was really important, and they couldn't get by me on the bottom. And then going into that pit cycle, I knew the undercut was going to be huge because of how far we'd gone already. And I just could not risk having them pit before me, and I feel like I was going to lose the race if they got in before me, no matter how many laps. So I was like, okay, I think 35 is going to be a good spot. And then Nick came in, I think, with 38 to go. So then I came in on, I think, 37 to go. And I was like, all right, then we set the sails from there. Just passed a few guys, got pretty sketchy in a few spots. But from there, I mean, it was just hitting my marks. There really wasn't any too much pressure. Because Gavin Rogers was behind me going into the pit cycle, and then he ended up running long. So it's like, oh, that was interesting. I mean, everybody I was racing went super long. I thought they were all gonna get dragged down when I went in, but then they figured I had the advantage once I pit before them, and they were gonna have a tough time getting to me. So I kind of made them play the other hand of the strategy just off of that call there.
Yeah, John, welcome. Stellar week of racing for you as well. As Monday, you were able to take the win in ISRC. Did the momentum there help you tonight with trying to get up here and run up front and get the win?
Yeah, obviously, just run up front any league, it's going to give you more confidence to feel like you belong there. And it's kind of been like tough, at least for WSSR for me, because I just don't have as much experience. I feel like as some of these guys do with these cars, and a lot of them run like open races and stuff with them. So it's kind of an adjustment. I'm still not super comfortable in this car, but it's hard with just how this thing's designed. It just drives so much different than everything else. So kind of getting comfortable with being uncomfortable is kind of the motto with this car, and that's kind of what we're doing tonight, especially on this old surface. So, but obviously, like winning the truck race on Monday, being in the championship lead with that, it definitely helps like bring my momentum over to any race I'm doing, really. But obviously, when the Truck Series league's over in a couple weeks, it's going to be full focus on this. I really want to make it to the championship 4 and give it a good championship run for this league as well.
Well, I know paired with the ISRC Truck Series, the next 2 races, we got next week heading to Nashville, and then the Red Bull Ring. How are you feeling about these next 2 races with heading to Nashville and then heading to a road course?
Yeah, Nashville's super fun. I always love that track. It's just nice flat concrete surface for the most part. And it really just kind of suits what I've kind of, I don't know, just have a lot of experience there running fixed and other series and stuff there. So I'm definitely looking forward to that one. The road course, on the other hand, I don't even have that track yet. These are still a huge adjustment for me running road courses. I'm just starting to get it a little bit better in the trucks and like the Xfinity car, but these next gens they're so weird, especially with all the different braking settings and stuff you can do. Everybody has a different strategy with it. So just getting myself out there, putting some time to practice and getting a setup in there that kind of just feels comfortable to me. It's going to be important, but obviously we're locked in now. So just getting team points, because I think we may have moved up to second tonight in team points, but I know we were third kind of near 100 points down already in the season with some unfortunate finishes by all of us so far. So to get the momentum going with the 125 here tonight, definitely a good swing in the right direction, and we are all in this for the points lead here, and we want to take this team championship.
Well, an impressive run for yourself here, John. Congratulations on the win. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any other shout-outs.
Yeah, thank you guys for putting these broadcasts on. Jay Performance being on board, Justin Forbes Media for putting the scheme together. Couldn't deliver it win at Auto Club last week, so it was awesome to get it in Victory Lane here. eFlexFuel being on board, always a great partner to have. And have a great night, guys.
Well, that will be your winner here tonight in the 11 machine of John Forbes. John, enjoy this one, and good luck next week at Nashville Superspeedway.
Thank you, guys.
As your winner here tonight, fourth different winner on the fourth different track of the season. We'll see if that continues on, but one driver that's been on an upward trajectory, and it is continuing on. Got third last race, now gets second here tonight. I mean, gotta say, Danny, it's Sam and Richard up in the booth. This season, a complete awakening compared to last season, where it seemed like you were struggling at times. You're finding that consistency at the end of these races. How are you feeling with second place here tonight?
Dude, I've never been happy to run second in my life, man. It's awesome. Starting to figure out how to run these cars a little bit. Dude, it's such a learning curve. You go from something that has like a more classic stock car feel, like a truck or your Gen 6 Cup cars, and even to a point the Gen 4 Cup cars, but you kind of go from that into this new era. And I didn't really drive them for, almost like the first 2 years they were out, So, I mean, it's been a big learning curve, but I'm finally starting to figure it out a little bit. And just kind of trying to use that to use what I'm learning to try and build some momentum for myself. And it seems to be working so far. So hopefully we can keep this streak going. We finished top 10 in all but one race so far this season, which for me and WSSR is pretty incredible. I'm very happy with how it's gone to this point.
Yeah, it's been an incredible season for you so far, Danny. And early in the race, you were caught back in a lot of the Hornets, and that's back in the pack of the for the most of the race. But how did it feel getting up and getting through all that and coming out as high up as you did?
Yeah, Richard, kind of to your point, I did get pretty far back, but so there was a reason to it, because I was thinking about it coming to that pit stop. We had that caution out before the stage, and I was like, I could either pit here, kill a set of tires, maybe pick up spots, or I could stay out, save a set of tires, and be in the middle of the hornet's nest that will and did inevitably lead to a wreck. So I opted to come down, put fuel in it, and just kind of wait for everybody else to go, and kind of EO'd myself on the restart, because it's like, okay, I know I'm fast enough to at least get back up to like a top 10, around where I had been running. So I opted to go that route. Paid off for me, because we missed a couple wrecks that I'm pretty sure I would have been in the middle of otherwise. So I'm happy I done that. But yeah, I mean, it's just such a different feeling. You get inside like the top 10 in this league. Other places you don't. It's not as much of a separation. But everybody in this field's so close that if you're from about 8th all the way back to, I don't know how many cars we had here, 40th. I mean, everybody's such under a tight net blanket that if you can just get a little bit of separation and get away from that, it can just help you so much. You can concentrate on actually, saving your tires and managing your run versus just having to battle all the time. So yeah, it helped a ton just being able to get out from that a little bit and kind of be able to run your own race.
Well, Danny, we're heading into 2 races before our holiday break, Nashville Superspeedway and then the Red Bull Ring. What's your confidence level heading towards these 2 tracks?
Yeah, holy cow, man. I forgot we were that close to Christmas. So I guess I got to get a couple Christmas schemes ready. But, dude, I'm feeling really good right now. I'm not by any means a road course ringer, but I can hold my own. Red Bull Ring is certainly, it's foreign to me. I've driven like open wheel stuff there, but I've never driven a stock car. So that's definitely going to be new, but I'm looking forward to it. I know at Long Beach last season, I had like my best run there, and it was a little bit less traditional. So I feel pretty good. Nashville Super Speedway, I think I can do well. That's where I had one of my best runs in the when we ran the Gen 4s in WSSR. So I don't know. I know it tends to build really tight there, so we'll see how that plays out. But I don't know if it's gonna play to my driving style. But we'll see what happens, man. I think if I can just keep racking up some top tens and keep consistently about where I'm finishing, I'll be in a great spot come time for the playoffs.
Well, we are excited to see how these upcoming races are going to perform for you, Danny. It's been a great start so far. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any other shout outs.
Larry with Larry Arts Productions. Go check him out on YouTube. Hopped on the car all season for this season. Stoked to have him on board. Stoked to be, dude. I'm so happy to have some decent runs with him on the car. I know Cody got a win with him on the car at Atlanta, but I hadn't been able to get the monkey off my back of finishing lousy here, and just being able to put the Larry Arts production car up in the top 5 and top 3 some has been pretty awesome. So huge shout out to him. Check him out on YouTube, Twitter. He has a Twitch as well. Check that out. Check out myself. It's Dan02, TikTok, YouTube, and Twitch. Live stream sometimes over there. And you guys for broadcasting the show and the admins for putting it on.
Well, thank you for giving us such a great show. That'll be your second place finisher in the 2 machine of Danny Cochran. Danny, enjoy this one, and good luck next week as we head to Nashville.
Thank you, boys.
Well, as we move down to 3rd position, we bring in a driver that we've seen a lot of success in the past. He's been looking to try to find his right footing. And it looks like he might have found it here tonight. We have the 8 machine of Brian McCann with us. Brian, it's Sam and Richard up in the booth. I mean, 3rd place, you went with the earlier pit stop than most. It put you in great positioning there late. What was going through your mind when those closing laps and you were seeing your competition going to pit road and then others catching up to you?
Yeah, when we went green, starting to calculate, the strategy on what to do on that long run, I was like, do you cut it in half and go in and, get the new tires and hope for a green run, or do you stay out? And I saw like 2 or 3 other people do it, so I was like, all right, I'm doing it. Luckily, it paid out in my favor, but my story is kind of the same as the first 2 drivers that just interviewed, John and Danny. I didn't get any practice, and it kind of felt like the older cars that we're used to, so it's kind of weird, 3 of us saying the same thing up here in front.
Yeah, it was a fantastic seeing you all the way up in front, Brian. Not something we see very often now, but good to see you coming up. What's it feeling like finally being able to run these next gens, faster and up here with these faster drivers?
Oh, it feels great. I ain't been in the podium in a while, so yeah, I'm excited to be up here. I'm learning as I'm going. The only time I race this car is in this league, so great group of drivers out here to learn from.
I mean, Brian, it has been always fun to see you out on track and performing well. We're coming up to a couple of different tracks than what we've seen. We got heading towards Nashville Super Speedway and then the Red Bull Ring. How are you feeling like you can try to carry this momentum into these future tracks, or is it just survival mode before we have the holiday break?
Yeah, I'm a little worried about the road course. I know the track a little bit, so I'm not too worried about that, but trying to take what I've learned in the last few weeks in my improvement and translating it into road course, I think that's going to be a whole different story. So not sure how that's going to turn out. Hopefully we can just go out there and continue the streak.
Well, we cannot wait to see how you're going to perform in these future races. Brian, before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any other shout outs.
Yeah, my family, you guys for doing the broadcast, amazing job. Everybody who helps out on this league, great, amazing league. And my teammates, Larry and Ryan, jumped in the server, no practice, and they gave me some hints, and it helped me out. Thank you.
Well, that will be Brian McCann in the 8 machine, taking away 3rd place here tonight. Congratulations, Brian, on a great finish, and good luck next week at Nashville.
Thank you.
As we move from our 3rd place position, we'll head to our spotlight driver, which, I mean, obviously, the season has been caught up in a wreck. He's just been the magnet of a lot of chaos, has not been able to get the finish that it truly deserves in the pace, but here tonight, we have Vincent Sora caught up in another wreck, but comes away 5th at the end of the night. Vinny, how are you feeling after a night that probably felt like how it's been most of the season?
Man, I feel really, really good. Yeah, I've had a horrendous season so far. And in a league that I used to dominate, man, it sucked. I had a really good pace tonight. I had really good pace last week or 2 weeks ago. and I had nothing to show for it. And then the other two, I was killed before the first stage, so I guess we'll never know. But yeah, man, tonight didn't start off very, very strong. Um, Kanata got a little bit loose ahead of me as I was kind of tracking out, and we just kind of met in the middle. And I went down to the inside wall. I had like a minute and a half of damage that I fixed. But then from there, I just kind of slowly and methodically made my way up through the field. I didn't really have any pressure on me, so I could just kind of sit there and run my line and slowly pick guys off. And it turned out that I had, like tremendous long run pace there at the end before I made my pit stop. I drove all the way up to like fourth or fifth, just on raw pace. So yeah, I had it figured out tonight. I'm glad that I finally have a result that showed the true pace that I had. And from here on out, I just need to keep on clicking off results like this and hopefully find my way into the playoffs.
Yeah, Vinny, this has definitely got to be a breath of fresh air finally for you with the start you've had to this season. It's definitely been uncharacteristic for a driver like you. But after that first incident, were you a little scared about how the rest of this race was going to end up for you?
Yeah, I think anytime after you get in a wreck, you're just kind of then in damage control mode and just seeing what you can salvage for the rest of the night. And it really sucks when it's that early. I've just had a terrible like last month, and I feel like I've had, I think, like one league race that I haven't wrecked in the last like month and a half. So yeah, I'm kind of used to it by now, unfortunately. So like I said, I knew what I needed to do, and I figured if I just ran my own pace and figured things out as it went, kind of attacked it more slowly rather than trying to be aggressive and get spots that could get me in another wreck, that I'd get up there, and I did just that.
You certainly did. Well, Vinny, we've got two more races for our holiday break: Nashville Superspeedway, also the Red Bull Ring. What are your confidence levels heading to those racetracks?
They're pretty good. I think if I remember correctly, last time at Nashville Super Speedway, I was pretty quick, but then it turned into a fuel mileage race, and I ended up losing the race to, I think, Larry and Brian. But I feel strong about my pace there. Mile and a half are tricky nowadays, but I think if I have the same speed that I had tonight, it'll be pretty close, and another good run. And then the road course, I think nowadays I'm like a third or fourth place car. Maybe if I put in some more time, I could possibly get a win. So we'll have to see. But yeah, I just need to, like I said, maybe put in some more time and have some runs like tonight.
Well, we hope that these runs continue on for yourself, Vinny. Congratulations on fifth. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any other shout outs.
Yeah, first off to my teammates, John and Danny. They had a really good run tonight, and John's decided he's going to start winning over here now too. So I guess I like it a little bit more when he's my teammate. Danny's had a great start to the season. He's like fourth or fifth in points. So that's awesome to see. Tom has had some terrible luck, but if I can start finishing races, then hopefully he can too, and his luck can turn around. So yeah, you guys for broadcasting, and everybody who just makes this possible.
Well, thank you for giving us such a great show to call. That'll be your fifth place finisher here tonight in the 51 machine of Vincent Sora. Vinny, enjoy this one, and good luck next week at Nashville.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
You too, as that will finish up our interviews here tonight. Certainly a lot of ups and downs. Some drivers excited for what the future holds. Others, they would prefer that we get into past the holiday break to more traditional tracks. But for tonight, one driver's excited for it. He made the right call of when to go into pit road, gave him the opening, and your unofficial result winner here tonight going to be the 11 machine of John Forbes. Second goes the 2 of Danny Cochran. Brian McCann as well, going to be having a good run in third. Ken Campbell, he's got to be absolutely thrilled as well. The bad luck and juju that you could say for majority of the guys that were in our top 5. Love to see that swing for themselves. 6 goes to the 9 of Shane Sarian, with Cedric Hunter in 7th place for the 13. Ali Fonseca, at one moment we saw him going through the grass, comes away 8th at the end of the evening. 00 Brian Noel falls down to 9th, and finishing out our top 10, it's the 1 of Zach College, another driver we saw having troubles late. They'll take that 10th place finish after watching a lot of his other competition find themselves with black flags because of speeding into pit road.
Yeah, there's a lot of black flags for speeding in the pit road. That was really shocking to see a lot of drivers like Nick Crawford getting tagged with one of those as well as Christopher Norris. But Samuel Garcia, who was one of the fast drivers during the practice time, able to come away in 12th position. That's impressive to see. One of the names we don't see very often up there running 12th, so good run for him. And then one driver kind of expected to run the top 10 and continue the top 5 run. Gavin Rogers decided to try and go for a late pit stop call and ran as far as he could, was able to only drop back to 21st. So an unfortunate strategy call from Gavin, falls him out of the top 20 also. But then you also have Drew Jua, another one of those top 5 drivers, falling all the way back to 29th, who was also tagged with a speeding penalty. So unfortunate to see those two. And we also had, the front row of Tom Sinchik and James Scioli. Unfortunate events for them. James Scioli disconnecting early in the race after taking 3rd in the stage. Not sure what happened there. Hopefully everything's all right with him. But overall, fantastic race. Great run by everybody throughout the field. And this is definitely one that they should be excited to rewatch.
They certainly should. Also want to give note to the likes of Justin Malarkey and Ross Tatum, both able to stretch the fuel out to make it to the end. It was 18th and 19th position for the 2 of those drivers. Well, before we officially call it an evening, we also have people that we need to say thank you to for helping out in sponsoring wise for the WSSR Cup Series. First, want to say thank you to GTR Simulators. GTR Simulators has partnered up with the Stake F1 racing team, Kicksauber, to partner up and have their own sim racing rig, as it is the special edition GTA Compact V2 Stake F1 Team Kicksauber foldable racing simulator. It's officially licensed by Sauber Motorsports AG. And if you go head over to gtrsimulators.com and use the promo code WSSR, you can get yourself 10% off that amazing product. Again, go check out the GTA Compact V2 Stake F1 Team Kicksauber today for purchase. Also want to say thank you to Trophy Smack. Trophy Smack, the trophy provider, as well as it was the ring provider for a few seasons here at the WSSR Cup Series. Currently, we've had 3 trophies given out, 2 to Ben Nelson, 1 to Zach Hall last season, and the hunt has only begun as we're just in race 4 for the championship. The winner of this season will find themselves with a custom trophy made for them. But if you would like to also get championship trophies, if you're into fantasy football, I know the season's slowly coming to an end here in the next month and a half. Maybe you're looking for a championship ring, belt, trophy, or more. They've got pre-made trophies, ones that can be customized to your liking, all at trophysmack.com. If you can also go over and use the promo code here of going to be that of WSSR Smack, you'll find yourself getting 10% off, as well as you can go check out their Wall Smack collection, a metal plate that you can put your own image on. It would be great to see on your wall or desk. Those are the amazing sponsors that have partnered up with WSSR Cup Series. We also have our final little hurrah that we want to say thank you to. Thank you to everyone that's partnered with us in the past and going to be moving into the future, as we've got ourselves a charity race in front of us. January 4th is going to be our next charity event. We find ourselves with the 6 hours of Daytona. It's our 3rd attempt doing the 6 hours. I know our 2nd year we did the Daytona 500, but this year we're going back to endurance racing for 6 hours. And this one you do not want to miss. We're going to have a little bit of a twist on how you, the audience members, can be more interactive to the race, as well to us up in the booth. More information will be given out. If you'd like to participate in racing or just donating, go check out our social medias on X and also on Facebook at Freaky Fast Broadcasting for more information. Signups are open if you'd like to go race. Go sign up with your team or by yourself today. I know, Richard, you've already signed up for the 6-hour event. I know I'm excited just to be in the booth for the whole event, but man, it is so fun when we come around for these charity events.
Yeah, I'm really excited. Charity events are always a fantastic event to participate in, to help promote. But the fact that you guys are going back to the endurance racing, I have found a new love for these endurance racing. As Carl Pooler and we've done pretty much all the special events for iRacing all year this year, to include winning overall at the Petit Le Mans, actually this past event that happened. So we both signed up. Carl Pooler and myself have signed up to race with Limitless Esports for the 6 hours. So we're excited. and we've actually convinced quite a few other people to join along with us as well. So it's going to be a great time, going to be a great thing to watch, going to be a great thing to participate in. So looking forward to everybody that helps out along with this charity and comes by and checks it out.
I know we also have incentive goals. If certain money stone markers that we hit, we as up in the booth are going to be changing up some things. I know we've already announced our $500 goal and our $2,000 goal. $2,000. If you don't know what the one chip challenge, it's a really hot chip that burns your mouth completely and your whole entire intestines. I will eat that if we hit $2,000. And if we hit $500, we will have the Category 5 esports team in the booth for a segment. We have plenty of more incentive goals in between this $500 goal to the $2,000 goal that we will be releasing periodically throughout the month as we get closer and closer to our charity event again, January 4th. Well, if you can't wait until then for racing action, we also have the rest of our week of giving you racing coverage as Monday night slowly coming to the end. You heard from John Forbes. He is focusing on the championship in front of him. Just 2 races left on Monday night for the next 2 Mondays. You do not want to miss it. Can John Forbes take the championship, or will it be the other driver that we talked to on our interviews, Vincent Sora? It looks to be practically just between them to see who will hoist that championship. We just got finished up with tonight's race. We have 2 more races for the holiday break for Wednesday night here on WSSR. We got Nashville Superspeedway and the Red Bull Ring. And on Thursday, our next broadcast that we have lined up for us is one you don't want to miss, as the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series, the open setup next-gen cars, are heading to Talladega tomorrow night. Superspeedway racing, it is when we get some of the best finishes, and Talladega does not disappoint. So we are excited for tomorrow night. But before we call it an evening fully, Richard, any final thoughts before we call it out?
Oh man, the rest of the season is going to be awesome to watch. I'm definitely looking forward to Nashville for the concrete super speedway, they call it, and then off to Austria for the Red Bull Ring before the holiday break. So great racing tonight, and we've got more great racing coming up the rest of this week and further into the WSSR Season 10.
Just to make Nick Crawford happy, there the cars go, going meow, 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 currently on screen, as we would like to say thank you to everyone that joined with us this evening. It was a pleasure to give you the call here for the WSSR Cup Series on Wednesday night. For myself, Sam Dyer, for Richard Wolsifer, for Robert Moyer Jr., and everyone else here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, thank you for watching, enjoying, chatting. We enjoy the fact that you are willing to interact with us here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Well, this finishes up our Wednesday night. We will be back next week again for Nashville Super Speedway, 150 laps of hard racing to see, can we go 5 for 5, 5 different pole sitters, 5 different winners? We'll have to find out next week. But if you cannot wait until next week, we got you covered tomorrow night. It's the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series heading to Talladega. It is a super speedway race that should give you some great action. The championship is on the line between teammates. It's going to be between the Bowie Esports drivers. Will they be friends? Will they be foes? You'll have to find out tomorrow night on our next Freaky Fast broadcast.